Hey everyone, I sincerely appreciate your support. If you enjoy my audiobooks, I would be truly grateful if you could subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support even further, you're welcome to become a Patreon member, where you can access audiobooks of novels as long as they are freely available on the internet. Your kindness and support mean so much. Thank you.
You looked at Guilan and smiled. Do you think I lack money? Guilan lowered his head awkwardly, pursing his lips. After some thought, his eyes regained their determination as he spoke earnestly. Young master, one can never have too much money. Just name a price for letting me copy that pill scripture, and I'll do my utmost to meet your demand. Your tone remained calm. This ancestral pill scripture has no price, or rather, the wealth you'd earn in a lifetime couldn't cover its value. I'm not belittling you, just stating facts. The resolve in Guilan's eyes wavered before he nodded silently. I understand. Thank you for tolerating my presumption, young master, You waved dismissively. My apologies for disturbing you, young master. I'll take my leave. Guilan picked up the large cloth bag at his feet and stood to depart. Casually, you asked, "What's in that bag?" Guilan's face flushed with embarrassment as he hesitated. Just some... His words trailed off. You chuckled. Your most valuable possessions, meant to demonstrate your sincerity. Yes. Guilan's voice was barely audible. Having recently advanced to a first-grade pill refiner and become an official Danxia sect disciple, Guilan had felt his year-long frustrations melt away. But the sudden release after such prolonged suppression had made him overconfident about his future prospects. In his excitement, he'd gathered everything he considered valuable to showcase his sincerity. Only upon meeting you did he gradually realize someone who casually invested in improving fifth-grade pill recipes wasn't ordinary, nor would they particularly value a first-grade pill refiner. Guilan understood now that your politeness stemmed merely from your cultured manners, not from his own importance. This realization made the contents of his bag seem laughable, so much so that he couldn't even bring himself to answer. Yet you tilted your chin. Let's have a look. Young master, there's no need. Be good and show me. With resignation, Guilan opened the bag. Inside were some silver tails, blood chi pills, assorted lesser pills, and, most absurdly, preserved fish and cured meats. Picking up a piece of salted fish, you remarked with mock surprise, "How fortunate I've become to receive disaster relief rations from you." Guilan gave a pained smile. Young master, these were provisions from my family before I joined Danxia sect. My mother said they'd keep well on the journey. His use of "my mother said" reminded you of an old acquaintance. Your expression softened as you held up the fish. Mind if I keep this piece? Of course, young master. Guilan answered hastily. You had old Wang take the fish away and offered Guilan 2 taels of silver. Not taking it for free. Guilan refused repeatedly and ultimately left without accepting the silver, bag in hand. Watching his retreating figure, you shook your head. Guilan's peculiar pill refining talent was indeed unusual, but his overall progression only placed him slightly above average. His lengthy dormant periods, where he couldn't refine a single pill of corresponding grade, made his ability rather impractical. You soon dismissed him from your thoughts and returned to cultivation. 1 month later, you completed your second refinement of source power. Your exceptional martial talent had accelerated the process. After a day's rest, you inspected your zoo domain. Epsilon. Tired of commuting between manor and zoo, you'd hired 2 skin refining siblings, Hishan and Hiang Chun, to tend the animals at a generous wage. Their diligence showed. Every creature was robust and well-groomed. Hiang Chun was trimming an eclipse wolf's claws while Hishan polished a mist elephant's tusks. When the recently egg-laying Emberhawk went hunting, Hishan had even taken turns incubating the egg. Their dedication was evident. Young master, you're here. Hishan approached, pausing his work. Hiang Chun set down her shears and followed. You observe them. You've cared for my treasures meticulously. It's our duty. Hishan scratched his head. Their motivation was understandable. Your payments were extraordinarily lavish. My treasures have been on blood essence pills for a month now. Any effects? Hishan promptly presented detailed records of the animal's measurements and capabilities. The pills had already produced marked improvements. You nodded inwardly. Old Xie knew his craft. Seeing the siblings' earnest smiles, you patted Hishan's shoulder. Keep it up, and next year I might upgrade to a bigger estate. Hishan beamed. I won't let you down, young master. Another month passed. At dusk, having completed your daily cultivation, Old Wang announced a Danxia sect elder's visit, a hairy-faced, thunder-mouthed elder named Xie Huida. Young master, will you receive him? Old Wang inquired. You countered, Old Wang. Do you wish to live? Old Wang recoiled. Young master, I very much do. Then prepare our finest banquet. I'll have proper words with this master refiner. At once, young master. Though tempted to greet Xie Huida personally, you reconsidered. An 8th-grade pill refiner like yourself welcoming some insignificant 7th-grade peer? Preposterous. Old Wang, bring this minor refiner up, you commanded. Old Wang's eyes twinkled. As you wish, young master. I'll invite Elder Xian. As Old Wang turned, you amended. Actually, I'll condescend to greet him myself. You hastened to the gate with Old Wang. There stood Xie Huida, his pale gray robes immaculate, his piercing eyes bright beneath sharp brows. He appeared younger than when you'd first met him, fresher than on his death day. You strode forward and seized his hand. Elder Xie, long time no see. Unaccustomed to modern etiquette, Xie Huida rested his hand free and stepped back. Young master, we've never met before. You smiled. I've long admired you. You and Xie Huida sat down in the main hall. The table was fully laden with a sumptuous spread of dishes. Come, Master Xie, I'll toast you for your help with pill refining. You downed your drink in one go. Xie Huida raised his cup and said, Young master, you're too kind. The payment for the blood essence pills has already been settled. You smiled faintly, saying nothing more. Come, let's eat. You and Xie Huida ate, drank, and chatted idly for a while. Finally, Xie Huida asked, May I ask which sect your ancestor, the pill refiner, came from? You pretended to be surprised and replied, Master Xie, it's been so long that even my family elders don't remember. I have no idea. Is there a problem? Xie Huida smiled. No problem at all. From the recipe of your blood beast pills, your ancestor's skill was very high. How high? As high as a 3- or 4-story building. You flatter me, Master Xie. You chuckled, leaning back in your chair like a silly fool. Xie Huida glanced at you and continued. The key point is, I feel many of your ancestors' methods and techniques resemble the style of our Danxia sect very closely. Oh, really? You looked astonished. Even, Xie Huida hesitated for 2 breaths. I even saw quite a few traces of myself in them. Your eyes widened in surprise. Is that even possible? Xie Huida nodded earnestly. I find it strange too, which is why I couldn't help but come ask young Master He about it. You thought for a moment and said leisurely, though I don't know if my ancestor had ties with the Danxia sect, I do know quite a lot about his life and deeds. Xie Huida's eyes lit up. Please, young Master He, tell me. So, you recounted the life story of one of the childless founding patriarchs of the Danxia sect, tweaking the details slightly, and told it to Xie Huida. The more Xie Huida listened, the more intrigued he became, his eyes narrowing with fascination. When you finished, Xie Huida was still in slight disbelief. You then magnified the moment by pulling out your ancestor's portrait and thrusting it in front of Xie Huida's face. Master Xie, do you recognize this portrait? The moment Xie Huida saw the portrait, he was so excited he nearly wet himself. Ah, young Master He, you really are a descendant of our Danxia sect's old ancestor. You played along. Master Xie, is that so? Absolutely. Ignoring your surprise, Xie Huida immediately stood up and rushed back to the Danxia sect overnight to fetch the old ancestor's portrait. Comparing the 2 portraits side by side, they looked like twins. Xie Huida became even more excited. Young Master He, do you believe now? You clicked your tongue in amazement. Wow, they really are identical. This is freakishly strange. What's going on here? Young Master He, You are indeed a descendant of our Danxia sect's old ancestor. Xiaohuida was ecstatic. Then Xiaohuida told you the old ancestor's life story in detail. Actually, this ancestor's legacy was passed down directly through Xiaohuida's lineage, which explained his excitement. He narrated the old ancestor's life story to you. Though you feigned surprise with "oh my" on the surface, in truth you felt nothing and were almost falling asleep. You had already studied that ancestor's story thoroughly and could recite it by heart. Finally, you expressed astonishment and said it was all fate. On the spot, you grabbed Xiaohuida and proposed becoming sworn brothers. Xiaohuida felt the age gap was too large and said it was inappropriate. You insisted that age was not a problem and gender was no barrier, forcibly pulling Xiaohuida in a swearing brotherhood. You had already prepared the incense altar and asked Old Wang to set it up. You knelt down there and said, "Lord Guan, heir above." "Who's Lord Guan heir?" "None of your business." You pulled Xiaohuida down with you, and the two of you knelt with 3 bows and 9 kowtows, completing the ceremony. From then on, you each did your own thing. You called him master, and he called you little brother. After you both finished the brotherhood ritual, dawn was nearly breaking. "Old Xia, I suppose this counts as recognizing my ancestors and returning to my roots." Xiaohuida looked a little stunned. "Well, I guess it does. You indeed recognize your roots, except you had added a generation to yourself. You guessed that the next simulation might even add another generation. Every generation you earned was the result of your own effort, and you felt at ease in your heart." Half a year later, since that day of swearing brotherhood, you often visited the Danxia sect. You revealed to Xiaohuida that you were a third-rank pill refiner and had read many ancestral pill manuals passed down. Therefore, discussing pill refining with Xiaohuida felt completely natural. You often said things that enlightened Xiaohuida deeply. You and Xiaohuida grew closer as big brothers. He also took the opportunity to tell you about Deng Wanshu's condition. After listening, you cautiously asked, "For your wife, my sister-in-law, with her condition, the reviving yang pill should work, right?" Xiaohuida looked at you in surprise, and then sighed silently before replying, "I've studied many pills and also believe the reviving yang pill is the last hope." You deliberately showed a clearly conflicted expression, so obvious that Xiaohuida noticed. Xiaohuida slowly stood and asked solemnly, "Little brother do you have any clue about the reviving yang pill?" You did not answer, but just looked at him with discomfort in your expression. Finally, you forced a relieved smile and said, "Hey, old Xia, you're overthinking. How could I have news of the reviving yang pill? It requires earth source to refine, and even among 8th grade pills, it's top tier." Xiaohuida looked at you with half-belief. Though anxious, he did not press further. The next day, after breakfast, you unusually did not cultivate but waited for Xiaohuida. You had not agreed to meet him today, but you knew he would come. Sure enough, just as the morning mist was clearing, Old Wang said Xiaohuida had arrived. Xiaohuida and Old Wang walked toward the main hall. Inside, you stood up. "Old Xia, why have you come?" "Craving the cooking skills of my house, chef again." Xiaohuida sat down with a hesitant expression. You poured him a cup of tea. You glanced at him. "Old Xia, why so quiet today?" Becoming shy, Xiaohuida finally spoke. "Little brother I have an unworthy request." "Old Xia, speak. I want to ask you to share any news about the reviving yang pill with me." Xiaohuida cautiously did not say you had any clues, fearing it would sound abrupt and raise your suspicion. You froze for a moment, then slowly put down the teacup. "Old Xia, your deep affection for my sister-in-law is rare in this world, but the reviving yang pill is no ordinary thing. Even a single earth source ingredient causes ultimate grandmasters to fight desperately over it." Xiaohuida caught your meaning, knowing you wanted to see his offer. His expression brightened instantly, and his lips trembled slightly. Moreover, he was clearly prepared. "Little brother if you're willing to give me, the news about the reviving yang pill, I vow to refine pills for you all my life. If you need pill recipes, I will give them all. Additionally, I will provide an earth source to you. If you have other conditions, just say them. You caught the keyword. Earth source? The Danxia sect has an earth source? You remembered that during the last simulation at this point, the Danxia sect did not have an earth source. Otherwise, they would not have gone to help Li Onlong refine the spirit fusion mother and child pills. Xiaoda hesitated a moment, then said, I will be straightforward with you. We have news of an earth source, but the Danxia sect paid a huge price, sending 5 ultimate grandmasters to compete for it. Once we get the earth source, we'll hand it over to you. You nodded slowly. According to the last simulation's development, the Danxia sect did not obtain this earth source, so naturally, they couldn't give it to you. You thought it over and decided to get this earth source yourself. You turned your head, feigning hesitation for a while before saying, Old Xie, your sincerity has moved me. Xie Hueda was so excited he knocked over his teacup and stood up. Little brother, you agree? Because we're good brothers. All right. Ha. Xie Hueda's face loaded smile after smile, but kept failing to hold it, his expression system nearly collapsing. Finally, he burst into 2 bouts of wild laughter. Ga. After Xie Hueda calmed down, you said, Old Xie, don't get too excited. I have one more condition. Xie Hueda was stunned, then asked, Little brother, what condition? You have to tell me the exact information about this earth source. Otherwise, I'm afraid you're just fooling me. Xie Hueda breathed a sigh of relief and said excitedly, No problem. Then Xie Hueda told you detailed information about the earth source that was about to appear. This earth source would emerge 10 days later, in Liuzhou, the prefecture governing Yutong County. But it would not appear in Yutong County itself, rather in Maoxian County within Liuzhou. You can make it there in 5 or 6 days at full speed. Your current strength had slightly surpassed Yanji Shue. Your third source power refinement would also be completed within these few days, and by then you would fully surpass Yanji Shue, the top ultimate grandmaster. Moreover, other ultimate grandmasters did not even know you existed as a formidable contender. With some patience, you had a strong chance of seizing the earth source. You asked Xie Hueda, who calculated the earth source's appearance time and location. Xie Hueda told you that Great Qian had more than 10 ultimate grandmasters capable of roughly predicting when and where earth sources would appear. You asked about these dozen or so ultimate grandmasters. You found out that the earth sources they fused with were all of the Kuan earth affinity type. Ultimate grandmasters with Kuan earth affinity were close to the earth, able to sense ley lines and manipulate feng shui. Their combat power also benefited from the earth beneath their feet. Of course, their most valued ability by other ultimate grandmasters was to predict roughly when and where earth sources would appear. This time, the ultimate grandmaster who discovered this earth source had fused with the Water River chart, ranked 17th among Kuan earth affinity earth sources, a fairly good earth source. In fact, based on these traits, once enough earth sources appeared, ultimate grandmasters would eventually classify them into categories. By then, your early advantage would vanish, so you had to quickly collect more earth sources. You yourself had fused with a Qian metal affinity earth source, which made the user adept at offense, increasing toughness and sharpness, directly boosting combat power greatly. During the last simulation siege on Lianlong, you were the main attacker, not only due to the protagonist's aura, but also because your fusion with the Qian metal affinity earth source greatly enhanced your combat strength. After clarifying all the information from Xie Hueda, you agreed that as long as Xie Hueda fulfilled his conditions, you would give him the reviving Yang pill. You knew Xie Hueda would not obtain the earth source this time. Later, you planned to ask him for a few 9th-grade pill recipes as compensation. After sending Xie Hueda off, you began cultivating. You planned to train for 3 days before setting out, attempting to complete the third source power refinement, increasing your strength by 1 point for added assurance. Time passed quickly. 3 days later, you completed the third condensation of source power just in time. Your strength has completely surpassed Yanji Shue, reaching above top-tier Grandmaster, only trailing Lin Jingji's level. With your current, overwhelming combat power, even among ultimate grandmasters, you rank below about a dozen and above 2 to 300. Although the ranking description is a bit vague, it doesn't stop you from truly being quite powerful. That very day, you flew toward Mousian County. On the third day, you were flying high in the sky. You happened upon a flock of migrating wild geese. You voluntarily helped guide them along their route. To keep up with you, the geese flapped their wings so hard they left afterimages. After you left with satisfaction, the geese exclaimed, "That windbreaker today was really something." The journey was smooth without any trouble. On the fifth day, you arrived at Mousian County. You activated divine microvision and concealed yourself near a mountain forest where the Earth source was about to appear. This Earth source must be known to more than one group. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind it. You must be that oriole standing behind them. On the seventh day, dusk deepened and night completely swallowed the land. You had been lying in wait for 2 days and hadn't seen a single living person. You began to wonder if Siehueda was playing games with you. Finally, 2 ultimate grandmasters flew in from afar. One wore neat clothing, exuding a violent aura, his tiger-like eyes scanning fiercely around. The other was a bald man holding a monk's staff, dressed in bright yellow robes, undoubtedly a monk. They didn't hide anything and directly hovered above the spot where the Earth source would appear. The 2 glanced at each other and smiled. Then the old monk spoke loudly. "Stop hiding. Come out." You frowned, thinking to yourself, "Are you kidding? Am I supposed to reveal myself just like that?" Though puzzled, you didn't emerge. Probably this old monk was trying to deceive you. 2 breaths later, the old monk surprisingly said, "Umit Ba, brother, come out." "No way. Is this even reasonable?" Your scalp tingled and your eyes widened. "If I get exposed like this, I might as well give up." During the previous simulation, except for freely soaring in the sky, you never revealed the combat power of an ultimate grandmaster. You were currently fully operating the art of hidden breath, masking your aura. How could you possibly be discovered? Resolving to take action, just as you prepared to go out and kill these 2, a hearty laugh came from a nearby forest. "Ha ha! Master Mingjue's strength is indeed profound and unfathomable. I am impressed." 3 people emerged from the forest. One had cunning eyes and a sly temperament. That sentence came from him. You glanced at this sly man and cursed inwardly. "Damn, what level are you? We share the same surname." You felt indignant. Because you had exposed yourself often before, you had learned to recognize people who fit your profile. This time, you almost lost your composure. On Beta, you warned yourself to be more cautious in the future. Next to Master Mingjue, the man with the violent aura gave a fierce smile and said, "He Tianlei, you know Master Mingjue has come. Aren't you going to scram?" He Tianlei exchanged a glance with the 2 behind him, sneered disdainfully, then snarled, "Scram we shall." Whoosh! The 3 shot toward the dark horizon like 3 meteors, disappearing in an instant. You nodded, as expected of my He family, cowardly with style. Just after they left, the aura beneath Master Mingjue and the violent man suddenly surged. The surrounding world's energy was abruptly drawn toward the patch of earth beneath their feet. The night wind blew sharply. The forest rustled as if countless ghosts lurked within the trees. In a moment, a faint mist abruptly appeared on the ground, flickering and expanding. Master Mingjue and the others' faces lit up with joy, showing expressions of just as expected. The flickering mist swelled with the wind, quickly reaching 6 or 7 meters high. Then it stopped growing and floated alone like a spirit of the world. Master Mingjue looked excited, flipped his wrist, and took out a fist-sized Earth Source bowl. Source power was emitted carefully to envelop the delicate Earth Source, as if holding a cup of boiling water about to overflow. Once fully wrapped, the source power retracted, directly sealing the Earth Source inside the bowl. At the moment it was placed in the bowl, the Earth Source seemed to come alive. The mist surged, then suddenly leapt out in alert. Snap! The Earth Source bowl's lid closed, and the Earth Source was instantly pressed back inside. Ha, got it. Master Mingjue and the other laughed heartily. Let's go. Master Mingjue was in high spirits. The two slightly gathered strength, ready to soar into the sky. Go. Where do you think you're going? A fierce shout rang out. Master Mingjue and the other were immediately forced down as 5 ultimate grandmasters swiftly surrounded them. Your gaze sharpened, guessing these 5 were the ultimate grandmasters Dansha sect had invited to fight for the Earth Source. Hand it over, one of the 5, an ugly man with a handlebar mustache, said sternly. Master Mingjue's expression turned serious. Ba, this poor monk does not understand your meaning. The handlebar mustache man sneered, trying to threaten them. A short man among the 5 cursed angrily. Why waste words with him? Boom! A huge iron hammer slammed straight at Master Mingjue and the other. Seeing their comrade attack, the other 4 also jumped in. The earth shook with the thunderous battle, waking you from drowsiness. Soon, Master Mingjue's agonized screams came. Ba, I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Though strong, Master Mingjue and the other were not a match for 5 attacking at once. Their robes were torn and dirty. The bald monk's violent temper had cooled, and his eyes were simple now. Actually, neither suffered heavy injuries. Their strength was part of the reason, but the other 5 hadn't gone all out. Because Master Mingjue was from Vajra Temple, it would be troublesome to offend him fatally. Finally, Master Mingjue handed over the Earth Source. They gained nothing and just took a severe beating. Master Mingjue rubbed his shiny bald head and asked the 5, May we leave now? The handlebar mustache man laughed. Monk, please go ahead. Master Mingjue and the other flew away in an instant. Just as they were about to vanish into the night, Master Mingjue's resentful warning echoed from afar. Ba, Eastern Sea Pavilion people, I will remember you. The 5 from Eastern Sea Pavilion paid no mind, carrying the Earth Source as they flew toward Dansha sect. From the earlier clash, you could gauge their strength. You were confident you could kill them all, but you knew there must be hidden experts still lurking, or else during the previous simulation, the Earth Source would have been successfully delivered to Dansha sect. You remained hidden, still not making a move. You wanted to be the last Oriole. You trailed the 5 from a distance, unhurriedly following. With your current power, they couldn't detect you at all. On the first day, no one stopped you on the road. You were calm. On the second day, still no one appeared. You felt slightly strange. On the third day, no enemies appeared. You grew puzzled. On the fourth day, the 5 continued smoothly toward Dansha sect. You were completely confused, thinking, still going? I'm almost home. On the 5th day, if all went well, the 5 would arrive at Dansha sect today. You thought if they could really deliver the Earth Source to Dansha sect, it would eventually belong to you. So you no longer planned to kill or loot anyone, just letting them run to Dansha sect. You wanted to see if they could reach Dansha sect smoothly. Day 5 evening. The silhouette of Dansha Mountain was already visible in the distance. You grew even more vigilant. The final stretch was always the most prone to mishaps. Yet the anticipated interference never came. These 5 ultimate grandmasters from Eastern Sea Pavilion flew straight into Dansha sect with the Earth Source. You hovered far above Dansha sect, frowning deeply. What's going on? Could it be that old Xie already obtained this Earth Source during the last simulation, but kept quiet after failing to refine it? As you pondered this, the ultimate grandmasters from Eastern Sea Pavilion began emerging from Dansha sect, scattering in all directions. But you noticed only 4 had left. 1 remained behind. Why is 1 staying? Getting late-night snacks. You patiently waited another hour. By now night had fallen, enveloping everything in darkness. The ugly man with the mustache finally flew out from Dansha sect, but your eyes narrowed when you spotted the Earth Source bowl hanging from his waist. This mustached rogue had taken the Earth Source. Xiaohueda had schemed relentlessly for this Earth Source. He'd never willingly give it up. Most likely this scoundrel had bullied his way into taking it using his ultimate grandmaster status. Looking down at Dansha sect, you indeed saw Xiaohueda, chasing after him. Xiaohuida's face was filled with despair as he stared fixedly at the direction the mustached man had flown. Even after losing sight of his target, Xiaohuida remained rooted in the sex plaza, his clenched fists trembling uncontrollably. Deng Rusong also came running out. Your first time seeing him in this simulation. During the last simulation, you'd accompanied Deng Rusong through his final 2 years. You'd personally witnessed Deng Rusong's passing. Seeing this lively version of him now felt strangely surreal. Though equally furious, Deng Rusong maintained his composure, always rational and considerate of the bigger picture. With sighing reassurances, Deng Rusong patted Xiaohuida's shoulder and half-dragged the distraught elder back to the main hall. You raise your gaze toward the mustached man's retreating figure. Your eyes turned icy. Greedy bastard, taking everything with you. You flew directly toward the scoundrel. Accelerating, you circled ahead to intercept his flight path, pretending to coincidentally cross paths. He hadn't realized he was about to meet his obstacle. As you passed each other midair, the man gave you a puzzled glance. You were a complete stranger. You mirrored appropriate confusion before stopping and calling out, "Honored warrior, a moment please." Seeing your politeness, the man halted but maintained a safe distance. He asked gruffly, "What business have you, brother?" You pointed toward Danxia sect. "Did you just come for Danxia sect?" "Indeed." Feigning sudden realization. "Are you perhaps the ultimate grandmaster assisting Danxia sect with the earth source matter?" The man eyed you warily. "Who are you?" An apologetic expression surfaced. "No need for caution. I too came to assist Danxia sect, but was delayed." "How did things proceed?" The man stiffened. "I know nothing of any earth source." The sheer audacity of denying knowledge while wearing the earth source bowl at his waist. Though inwardly cold, you maintained courtesy. "Honored warrior, there's no need for such." The man tilted his head. "No need for what?" "No need to keep living." Clang. Your soul-awakening blade flashed with starlight. Like lightning splitting the dark sky, a brilliant instant illuminated everything. This was your most powerful possible strike when launching a surprise attack. The blade's arc sliced diagonally from the man's left shoulder to right abdomen. Crack! His body separated cleanly at the waist. Aya! The upper half desperately retreated while using source power to contain spilling organs. These emergency maneuvers felt oddly familiar, reminded you of another unfortunate soul who'd suffered similarly. The key difference being this bastard had no reviving yang pill for salvation. With a flick of source power, you retrieved the earth source bowl from his falling lower half. A quick check confirmed the earth source remained inside before storing it away. Now resembling some grotesque punching bag, the legless torso frantically tried escaping, but his pathetic speed allowed you to leisurely follow. Keeping pace alongside the panicking torso, you matched his movement perfectly, leaning close enough to whisper in his ear, "Naughty children shouldn't steal." Your ghostly voice filled him with primal terror. "Gra! Die!" With a contorted face, he launched a source power-enhanced fist at your head. You casually dodged. "Hitting your teacher? Let me show you some discipline." Another flash of steel. His ugly head went airborne, tumbling twice. At the peak of its arc, countless blade lights wove a deadly net. The head disintegrated into minced flesh before source power scattered every last particle. His remaining body received identical treatment, utterly erased from existence. He came quietly and left even quieter. After cleaning up, you discreetly landed within Danxia sect. Now you understood Xiaohuida's early demise. Such repeated blows of despair must have shattered his spirit. Striding cheerfully into the main hall, you found Xiaohuida slumped in a chair, pallid and broken. Deng Rusong was nowhere to be seen. Seeing you enter, Xiaohuida's lips moved soundlessly. You smiled lightly. "Old Xia, why so glum?" Lifting his head with effort, Xiaohuida rasped, "Young master he? I cannot exchange for your reviving yang pill." Taking the adjacent seat, you asked calmly, failed to secure the Earth source. Siahueta looked up startled before shaking his head bitterly. We had it, but then you spoke gently. Old Sia, I understand your pain. But don't despair. This isn't irreparable. Confused eyes met yours. With a soft chuckle. You may doubt this, but I'll trade the reviving Yang pill even without the Earth source. Siahueta gaped in shock. Young master he? Can this be true? Absolutely. Opening your palm revealed a thumb-sized pale green pill. Its medicinal aroma immediately lifted spirits and cleared minds. Siahueta trembled violently, his feverish gaze locked onto your palm, unable to look away. Siahueta's gaze burned with obsessive desire, his rapid breathing audible to your ears. Yet you casually stored away the reviving Yang pill. Siahueta froze momentarily. Young master he? Old Sia, there's something I want to mention. Siahueta immediately straightened up. Young master he? All the conditions I promised earlier still stand. However you want compensation for the Earth source, I'll agree. You nodded. The conditions are negotiable. I want to discuss something else. What is it? You looked at him. Old Sia, I feel our relationship has grown distant. Young master he? Why would you say that? Aren't we sworn brothers? Why do you keep calling me young master? Siahueta quickly corrected himself. Brother, you must have misheard. This was your first time witnessing Siahueta's masterful skill of changing expressions. You knew Siahueta would do anything for the reviving Yang pill. He might even solve advanced calculus problems if required. So you shook your head and stopped dwelling on formalities. Old Sia, there's serious business to discuss, you said calmly. Siahueta looked impatient. Brother I'll do anything. Old Sia, your tone turned uncharacteristically serious. Put aside your lovesick brain for now. Let reason occupy the high ground of intelligence. I'm talking serious matters. Siahueta realized this wasn't about conditions for the reviving Yang pill. He composed himself. Brother speak your mind. You went straight to the point. Did the other 4 people with that ugly brute know he took the Earth source? Siahueta jolted in shock, bewildered how you knew about the Eastern Sea Pavilion's 5 members and that the ugly man had taken the Earth source. Siahueta eyed you suspiciously. Brother have you been lying in ambush at our Dansha sect all night? You waved the reviving Yang pill. Old Sia, just tell me if the other 4 knew. Your words put Siahueta on guard, but seeing the pill in your hand, he'd practically sell himself to you right now. Siahueta answered directly. Brother the other 4 didn't know Bao Lian stole the Earth source. Moreover, Bao Lian threatened us not to tell anyone, with circumflexo epsilon. The undisguised loathing in Siahueta's eyes was palpable. You nodded. Good. Siahueta tilted his head slightly. What do you mean? Your expression turned grave. Old Sia, remember this. Remember what? Whatever it is, just remember first. All right. After a moment's thought, you continued. Remember, Bao Lian has completely disappeared. If Eastern Sea Pavilion asks about him, you must say he left afterward without taking the Earth source. Siahueta looked at you incredulously, fully understanding what completely disappeared implied. He knew you couldn't possibly make an ultimate grandmaster vanish on your own. Only your family could accomplish that. In Siahueta's eyes, you grew even more formidable and mysterious. Of course, Siahueta didn't think your family would come to Dansha sect to seize this Earth source, since it was meant for you anyway. Siahueta's eyes covertly scanned you, searching for clues. Seeing Siahueta's wary expression, you said, Old Sia, no need for alarm. I'm considering Dansha sect's welfare. Dansha sect's welfare? Siahueta paused instinctively, but quickly grasped your meaning. If Eastern Sea Pavilion discovered Bao Lian never returned, they'd inevitably come questioning Dansha sect. If they learned Bao Lian had stolen Dansha sect's Earth source, the sect would be suspected in his disappearance. Though Dansha sect lacked the strength itself, they could enlist other ultimate grandmasters, making them targets for Eastern Sea Pavilion's retaliation. Thus, By having Xiaohuida claim Bao Lian never took the Earth Source, Danxia sect would avoid suspicion. Moreover, this wasn't just empty talk. Your reviving Yang pill could awaken Deng Wanshu, proving the Earth Source had been refined into the pill, solidifying the claim that Bao Lian never stole it. This way, even Eastern Sea Pavilion would have to believe Bao Lian accidentally vanished into some dimensional rift. Xiaohuida instantly understood this reasoning. Looking up at you in astonishment, he felt profound guilt. Just 3 seconds ago, he'd suspected you of scheming against Danxia sect. Now he realized this unlikely brother genuinely cared for the sect, moving him deeply. You really, he could cry. Worthy brother, this elder brother wronged you. Xiaohuida wholeheartedly accepted this 50-year age gap bond of fate. You smiled brightly, your super promotion and seniority plan achieving a milestone victory. Laughing heartily, you said, Dear brother, please rise. Oh, you weren't kneeling. You'd recalled how sworn brothers in Water Margin would excitedly kneel, but apparently that custom didn't exist here. Standing up, you said, Old Xia, let's go see your wife, my sister-in-law now. Your words made Xiaohuida stiffen. Faced with this pivotal moment, Xiaohuida wasn't as elated as expected. Fearful of any mishap, he became completely solemn and composed. Just then, Deng Rusong hurried in. As he walked, Deng Rusong announced loudly, Huida, I've contacted 9 ultimate grandmasters. Seeing you, Deng Rusong abruptly stopped, his expression tightening as he asked, And this is? Xiaohuida stepped forward and explained everything about you to Deng Rusong. After listening, Deng Rusong frowned deeply. Brother, he has a reviving Yang pill? You produced the pill again for display. Even the normally composed Deng Rusong lost control of his expression seeing the legendary pill in person. He grew equally excited. Brother, I want to thank your entire family. You wagged a middle finger. Sect leader Deng, no cursing. Deng Rusong chuckled awkwardly, realizing his poor phrasing. Brother, my apologies for the rudeness. You then asked, from what sect leader Deng said upon entering, were you gathering reinforcements? Deng Rusong calmed down and nodded silently. You inwardly admired how Deng Rusong was truly a man of action, perfect sect leader material. After their earlier discussion, Deng Rusong and Xiaohuida had immediately decided to summon ultimate grandmasters for retaliation. Deng Rusong had sent messages inviting 9 ultimate grandmasters to Danxia sect. They contacted so many because not all would be available. The sect couldn't expect them to come at a moment's notice. Realistically, only 4 or 5 would arrive. In your previous simulation, when these ultimate grandmasters learned they'd be confronting one of the 5 great sects Eastern Sea Pavilion, they'd all backed out immediately. The matter was ultimately dropped, with Danxia sect swallowing the bitter pill. After all, weakness was the original sin. Fortunately, in this simulation, you'd appeared as their savior. Not only did you bring the precious reviving Yang pill, you'd also eliminated Bao Lian, giving Xiaohuida and Deng Rusong closure. Though they didn't believe you personally killed Bao Lian, their gratitude toward your family extended to you. After all, they didn't know your other family members, or that your vast family consisted solely of you. With a carefree smile, you said, Old Xia, sect leader Deng, let's go. Time to get serious. Excitement sparkled in both men's eyes. Xiaohuida couldn't contain his joy. Brother, follow me. You followed the 2 familiar figures to the secret chamber where Deng Wanshu lay. The 3 of you stood before that familiar cold jade bed. Deng Wanshu slept peacefully, her beautiful, gentle face utterly serene. She didn't know her fate would completely deviate from its original course today. You opened your palm to reveal the reviving Yang pill. I won't do this for you. Which of you wants the honor? Deng Rusong chuckled lightly. Huida, you should do it. Xiaohuida nodded solemnly. He had waited too long for this moment. Last time, he'd waited until life's very end without achieving his desired outcome. With utmost care, Xiaohuida took the reviving Yang pill from your hand. He didn't use true qi to hold it. Only the physical sensation in his palm could reassure him. Gently, he placed the pill into Deng Wanshu's rosy lips. Then a stream of soft, true qi flowed from Xie Huida into Deng Wanshu's body. As the qi circulated, the reviving yang pill slowly dissolved, spreading through her body along the gentle energy currents. Within moments, the unnatural pallor faded from Deng Wanshu's skin, replaced by healthy, natural color. Hope blazed in both Xie Huida and Deng Rusong's eyes. Xie Huida controlled his qi with even greater caution, like walking on thin ice. When the pill's medicinal properties had fully dispersed, he carefully withdrew his qi. Xie Huida exhaled heavily in relief, then immediately fixed his gaze on Deng Wanshu's face. His heart pounded like thunder, his breathing rapid, like a prisoner awaiting judgment. Deng Rusong watched just as intently. Though calmer outwardly, the unconscious twitching of his facial muscles betrayed his inner turmoil. Time passed second by second. Deng Wanshu continued breathing steadily in deep slumber. 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Just as the light of hope in the two men's eyes began fading, Deng Wanshu finally stirred. Her long eyelashes fluttered slightly. That tiny movement seized both men's hearts. Unconsciously, they leaned closer for a better view. Suddenly, Deng Wanshu's lashes began trembling violently, matching the frantic rhythm of their heartbeats. Then the trembling stopped abruptly. Her beautiful eyes flew open like dazzling fireworks bursting across the night sky. Those clear eyes remained dazed for 2 seconds before focusing on the two tearful men before her. Wanshu, little sister. Xie Huida and Deng Rusong's voices cracked with emotion. Those long-awaited greetings carried years of bitterness and struggle. Only they knew what hardships they'd endured. Years of pent-up emotions left both men choking back sobs. Deng Wanshu stared blankly at the weeping men. After seeming to ponder for 2 seconds, she asked innocently, "Big brother, second brother, whose funeral are you crying at?" Xie Huida and Deng Rusong froze, then hurriedly wiped their tears. A moved smile spread across Xie Huida's face. Wanshu, second brother, wasn't crying. The wind got in my eyes. Blame this tightly sealed secret chamber for being too windy. Deng Wanshu burst in a silvery laughter so infectious it lightened your heart too. "Haha, what nonsense, second brother." Still as unserious as ever. Then she blinked. "Huh, second brother, big brother. Why am I in a secret chamber? Wait, did we escape that marrow-washing realm expert? Where's third brother? Did he run away first?" Xie Huida and Deng Rusong exchanged amused glances before looking indulgently at their sister's rapid-fire questions. "Wanshu, take it slow," Xie Huida said gently but firmly. "I'll explain everything carefully." Seeing your task complete, you quietly turned to leave. Behind you, conversation continued. Mostly Deng, Wanshu chattering like a sparrow. "Wanshu, actually, it's been 50 years. I slept that long." "Yes. Why didn't anyone wake me? We all wanted to. Wanting isn't enough." "Ha ha ha. We really did try waking you. You didn't try hard enough. Were you starving?" "Ha, exactly. Then I'll cook for you." Full bellies mean loud voices to wake me. "Deal, ha." Giggle. You left the chamber, left the Danxia sect, reached the mountain gate. Turning back, you saw when had this happened. Vibrant flowers blanketing the entire Danxia mountain, welcoming its own springtime. Returning to He Manor, old Wang rushed out anxiously. "Young master, you're finally back." You frowned slightly. "Old Wang, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, young master." "Then why the urgency?" "To show my concern for you." "Old Wang, you truly deserve being Yutong County's highest paid steward. Your upward management skills are impeccable." Old Wang bowed happily, genuinely pleased at your safe return. After dismissing him, you headed straight to the cultivation chamber to examine your newly acquired Earth Source treasure. Sitting cross-legged, your consciousness entered the simulation space. As an ultimate grandmaster, you could perceive the Earth Source without activating divine microvision. Concentrating, the mist around the Earth's source dispersed, revealing 3 masks. 3 terrifying, exaggerated masks with grotesque fangs and intricate, colorful patterns. Information flooded your mind. Nual opera masks ranked 5th among positive affinity Earth sources. Warriors who merge with them become enigmatic, excelling in divination and mystical arts. Mastering all 3 masks grants 3 abilities. First, complete physical transformation. Even close acquaintances couldn't recognize you. Second, perfect aura concealment, essential for travel or less savory activities. Third, immunity to divination. Even other positive ultimate grandmasters couldn't deduce your information. Nual opera masks? Interesting. Though you couldn't merge Earth sources beyond your dry metal affinity, you could master them without merging to access their powers. For other ultimate grandmasters, unmerged Earth sources would vanish within breaths. But you could store mastered Earth sources permanently in your simulation space. Your eyes gleamed. Damn, this cheat is overpowered. Eagerly, you began mastering the first transformation mask. You test on familiar faces like Siehueda to verify its potency. On the second day after you comprehended the Nual opera masks, the 3 powerhouses Siehueda, Deng Rusong, and Deng Wanshu arrived together. Siehueda seemed to have regained his youth, shedding his previous melancholy demeanor and appearing carefree and unrestrained. Deng Rusong remained composed as ever, though his eyes occasionally revealed traces of contentment and ease. This was Deng Wanshu's first visit to your manor. She already knew you were the one who provided the reviving yang pill to wake her. Her gaze was filled with gratitude and curiosity as she studied you intently. Siehueda carried a wooden box filled with pill recipes and generations of pill refiners' works on the true explanation of pill refining. Additionally, the box contained a translucent emerald jade piece token. You understood this was Siehueda fulfilling his promise in exchange for the reviving yang pill. You greeted the trio at your manor's entrance. "Everyone welcome," you said, your eyes on Deng Wanshu while reaching for Siehueda's box. "This must be Sister Wanshu in the box." Siehueda smiled wryly and handed you the box without protest. Deng Wanshu chuckled at seeing you tuck the box under your arm. "I haven't been packed into a little box yet, but thank you for the reviving yang pill, brother he." You smiled and stepped aside, gesturing toward the manor. "Don't just stand at the door. Everyone should go back now. We wouldn't want to intrude." "Wait, go back." Siehueda froze mid-step along with the others. "Just a little joke. Hope you don't mind." Deng Wanshu replied cheerfully. "Even if we minded, we wouldn't say so." "Excellent. Please come in and make yourselves at home, just like you would in someone else's house." You ushered them to the main hall, where tea was served. After sipping his tea, Siehueda explained the box contained 7th to 9th grade pill recipes, 18 9th grade, 37 8th grade, and 62 7th grade recipes. During your last simulation, you'd obtained some 7th and 8th grade recipes. Now you gained 18 9th grade, 32 8th grade, and 33 7th grade recipes. As for recipes below 7th grade, Siehueda hadn't brought them due to their overwhelming quantity, but you could consult them anytime at Dansha Sect. Apart from the 9th grade recipes, you had little interest in the other materials. But the jade piece token intrigued you greatly. This token was a heritage item from the sect's founder, passed down only to successive sect leaders. It could analyze failed pills, identifying exactly where they fell short of success. Pill refiners often produced many failed pills without understanding the specific reasons, whether the fire was too strong or ingredients were added too late. They could only accumulate experience through repeated attempts, like taking an exam, knowing only whether they passed, not which questions were wrong. The peace token, however, directly pinpointed the problems, allowing targeted improvements that dramatically increased refining efficiency. You examined the token with delight. Though your 8th grade refining skills were mastered, the leap to 9th grade had stymied countless talents. With this token, your confidence soared. "This is marvelous," you thought, like having a personal tutor who compiles mistake logs. Seeing your enthusiasm, Xiaohueda and Deng Rusong relaxed. They knew your family's resources meant you lacked little in recipes. Your legendary ancestor was an 8th grade refiner. Bees. But the reviving yang pill's main ingredient alone was an earth source. Compensating you with just some 9th grade recipes would have troubled their conscience. Thus Deng Rusong decided to give you the peace token to repay their debt. The token's magic came from containing an earth source itself, though its original form was no longer discernible. In terms of main ingredient value, the token and reviving yang pill were comparable. You also gained 18 9th grade recipes plus numerous 7th and 8th grade ones, along with Xiaohueda and Deng Rusong's lifelong refining services. This deal turned out far better than expected. You'd initially planned to just do a good deed at minor loss. Now you'd profited handsomely. Though being modest, you restrained your glee. Brother He, are you satisfied with our compensation? Xiaohueda asked. Extremely satisfied. 5-star rating. The conversation continued for hours. Since Wanshu's awakening, Xiaohueda and Deng Rusong visibly glowed with vitality. During small talk, you realized without Wanshu as their worry, Xiaohueda might attempt advancing to 8th or even 9th grade refine of the simulation. Deng Rusong, at mid-level Grandmaster, might also progress toward the ultimate Grandmaster realm. Everything's looking up, you mused. Only old who remains at Yajianku battling Jinyu Nation. If he knew Sister Wanshu awoke, he'd probably desert to return. As you pondered, Deng Rusong asked, Hueda, have you sent word to Zhongshuan? Xiaohueda laughed boldly. Sent yesterday. Let Hu Zhongshuan see whether medicine could save Wanshu after all. Deng Rusong nodded. You glanced at Deng Wanshu across from you, thinking, old who's returning? This will be lively. Wanshu gazed tenderly at Xiaohueda with dependence in her eyes, then tilted her head thoughtfully, her expression also hopeful. You blinked. Apparently, they truly intended to make their 3-way relationship work. Maybe Sister Wanshu isn't fickle, you wondered, but her heart simply broke in two, loving different people. In 50 years past Wanshu's eyes, Xiaohueda was dashingly unconventional, his pill refining talent unparalleled. Hu Zhongshuan was steadfast and reliable, his martial arts peerless. Faced with such extraordinary senior brothers in her youth, young Wanshu couldn't choose decisively. Thus, this unconventional yet thrilling arrangement persisted. You couldn't predict their future entanglements, but resolved to grab popcorn at the first sign of Danxia sect drama. That evening, you politely invited them to stay for dinner. To your surprise, they shamelessly accepted, forcing Steward Wang to serve the lavish meal prepared in advance. After rounds of drinks, a drunken Xiaohueda was supported home by Deng Rusong and Wanshu. Alone, you focused on comprehending the Nua opera masks. Year 4. After relentless communion with the masks, you neared completion of the first mask comprehension. Within 10 days, you'd master the shape-shifting ability. The year-long intensive effort left you mentally drained, so you decided to rest one final day before the final push. That day, you visited the zoo. A year had passed, auspicious timing to harvest blood. Your precious beast had consumed 5th grade blood essence pills daily, eating better than most warriors below dragon transformation. You were eager to see what surprises they'd yield after a year. You arrive at the zoo, where the He siblings come to greet you. Thanks to the high salary you provided, Hishan now has sufficient cultivation resources and has reached the skin refining peak stage, nearing breakthrough to bone tempering. Hingchuan's talent is slightly inferior, remaining at mid-stage skin refining. The siblings now live full-time at the zoo, completely dedicated as caretakers. After all, getting sufficient cultivation resources just by feeding animals without life or death battles outside is an opportunity too good to pass up. Young Master He, you're here. The siblings happily greet their generous patron. You nod slightly. Bring my precious ones over. Right away, young Master He. Following records, the siblings herd over all animals that have reached adulthood and been fed blood essence pills for a year. The animals line up to have their blood drawn. Soon, you've collected 49 types of beast blood. Just as you're about to finish, a small animal the size of a puppy slowly ambles over and lies down at your feet. The furry little creature has snow-white fur, a small tiger's head, a lion's body, and a thick, bushy tail resembling a wolf's. Picking up the odd hybrid that's shaking its head, you ask the other beasts, "Whose child is this?" Hishan hurriedly approaches. "Young master, I was just about to tell you, recently there have been hybrid offspring between different species in the zoo." Hybrids? You ponder thoughtfully. You had originally planned to artificially induce hybridization when animal variety became insufficient, never expecting them to start on their own. So you decide to go with the flow, instructing the he siblings to consciously breed different species together from now on to increase variety. The siblings carefully note this down. Truthfully, it won't require much effort. Just confine the adolescent beasts together, and nature will take its course. You return to He Manor with 49 types of beast blood. In the cultivation chamber, you successfully complete the fusion. This fusion brings a pleasant surprise. Your additional physical strength soars to late-stage bone tempering. Your eyes gleam. It seems good blood essence pills are no worse than blood beast pills. Combined with the previous 134 types of beast blood, you've now fused a total of 183 types. With more hybrid animals being born and fed blood essence pills from birth, you'll obtain increasingly higher quality beast blood. Your Garden Gate body technique might truly reach terrifying heights. You carefully consider the He siblings' situation. I wonder if they can handle all the hybridization work. Maybe I should hire a professional breeder, or have the siblings take courses like postpartum care for sows. After some thought, you decide to leave professional matters to professionals. You summon Old Wong and instruct him to find animal breeders for mating. Old Wong startles. "Young master, humans can't mate with animals, right?" You're equally shocked. "Old Wong, keep joking and I'll have you do the mating." Old Wong turns pale. While frightened, he has no intention of being fertilized. He immediately runs out. "Young master, I'll find breeders right away." Over the next 3 days, after 7 rounds of interviews and rigorous screening, you hire an animal breeder named Dong Jijia at high price, a graduate of the beast taming sect, one of the 5 great sects. Dong Jijia was expelled from the beast taming sect and permanently blacklisted for researching projects like mermaids, centaurs, and elephant men. Dong Jijia is exactly the special talent you need, and your zoo is the perfect stage for his skills. You hit it off immediately, kindred spirits with shared unconventional interests, brainstorming fantastical new species all night. You bring Dong Jijia to the zoo stage and let him experiment freely. Seeing the massive, powerful beasts, Dong Jijia drools. Your zoo is his paradise. After handling zoo matters, you return to cultivate with the new opera masks. 8 days later, you sit cross-legged in the cultivation chamber, your dark eyes slowly opening. Suddenly, an invisible, ferocious mask materializes over your face. Your expression darkens as your facial muscles don't twist. Instead, your entire face ripples like water. Within seconds, your appearance has transformed into Xie Huida's likeness. Even your height and mannerisms perfectly match. Only unseen body parts might differ. Ha ha ha, this is amazing. You're thrilled like a child with a new toy. Your face shifts again, becoming Hu Zhongshuan, Lin Mo, Deng Rusong, various strangers. But you maintain boundaries, never transforming into women for fear of addiction. Finally, you settle on an average-looking man in his early 30s. Disguised as a pill-buying martial artist, you visit the Danxia sect. You want to test whether acquaintances can recognize you or grow suspicious. You land directly before the Danxia sect gates in full view of everyone. The guards mistake you for an ultimate grandmaster and immediately escort you to a VIP reception room. Sitting there, you release a hint of ultimate cultivation and roar, "Have your sect leader receive me." The terrified attendant scrambles to summon Deng Rusong. Soon Deng Rusong enters, maintaining composure. Great hero, you've come by pills? May I know your honorable name? You scrutinize Deng Rusong's face intensely, making him uncomfortable. Ahem, great hero, please restrain yourself. You smile slightly. I never change my name when standing or sitting. Shangwan Gosheng. Clearly Deng Rusong doesn't recognize you or find you familiar. So it's Hero Shangwan. What pills do you require? You raise 10 fingers dramatically. 10 blood chi pills. Using ultimate cultivation to buy 10 first-grade blood chi pills nearly breaks Deng Rusong's composure. His expression tightens, suspecting you're causing trouble. Deng Rusong becomes even more cautious, fearing to offend you. Suppressing his emotions, he says calmly, Hero Shangwan, I don't have them on me. I'll have someone bring them. Make it quick. You do this both to leave an impression and save money. When the pills arrive, you grab them and vanish into the sky. Deng Rusong waves farewell below. Though appearing friendly, inwardly he's cursing up a storm. He congratulates himself for handling the situation without giving you cause for anger. As Deng Rusong turns to leave, your voice suddenly sounds behind him, Sect Leader Deng. Were you just cursing me in your heart? Deng Rusong turned around in shock. Hero Shangwan, what do you mean? How could you possibly know my inner thoughts? The power of an ultimate grandmaster works like this. You wouldn't understand since you're not one. Now tell me how you plan to appease my wrath. Deng Rusong's expression turned grave, fully realizing this was a deliberate provocation that couldn't be reasoned with. He furrowed his brows and tentatively asked, Hero Shangwan, what do you suggest? Deng Rusong had already prepared himself for significant losses. Your Danxia sect doesn't have much to offer. Just compensate me with your local specialties. Clenching his teeth, Deng Rusong said, Hero Shangwan, name your price. Slowly extending one finger, you said fiercely, 1,006 grade essence pills. Ah! Deng Rusong was stunned. The demand was surprisingly low. If not for your ability to fly, he would have suspected you were begging. In the Danxia sect's warehouses, 6th-grade essence pills might not form literal mountains, but they certainly piled up in small hills. Your request was truly insignificant, making Deng Rusong uneasy. Hero Shangwan, perhaps you'd like to take some other local specialties too? You raised an eyebrow. Oh, Sect Leader Deng is quite understanding. Might as well throw in some 7th and 8th grade pills too. Finally feeling more at ease, Deng Rusong immediately went to retrieve the pills for you. After roughly estimating the value of the large bag of pills, you nodded. Sect Leader Deng knows what's good. I'll be back. Deng Rusong could only echo. Do visit often. With a sly grin, you shot into the sky again. From high above, you dropped a thick roll of silver notes, slightly more than the raw material value of those pills. The notes landed precisely in Deng Rusong's hand as your voice carried from the horizon. I, Shangwan Gosheng, have lived with clean hands and never owe anyone anything. Clutching the silver notes, Deng Rusong watched your distant figure with mixed emotions. After a long while, he murmured, This only covers material costs. No processing fees included, Mr. Clean Hands. After cautiously circling several times, you finally returned to your manor. Today had given you full appreciation of the new opera mask's power. And this was just the first mask, with 2 even more powerful ones remaining. You resolved to accelerate your Earth Source collection. Your current strength now allowed you to gather more sources. 2 days later, you departed He Manor. Using Shangwan Gosheng's identity and appearance, you began traveling through several prefectures near Liuzhou. You visited 6 ultimate grandmasters with strong Earth affinity nearby, who could detect approximate times and locations of Earth Source appearances. Some belonged to the 5 great sects, while others led independent sects across different factions. You made it clear you wanted to be the first to purchase information about Earth Source appearances. This was common practice among ultimate grandmasters. Higher prices bought earlier alerts. Epsilon, to demonstrate your capability, you gifted each a 7th grade pill. But one ultimate grandmaster proved uncooperative, so you made sure he properly understood your strength. Bruised and battered, he happily accepted your gift and even wished you a happy new year. When you pointed out the new year had long passed, he cheerfully offered belated greetings, wishing you happiness in your twilight years. Being polite, you returned the favor by wishing him longevity until death. Through these 6 contacts, you learned each could only scan limited areas. The strongest among them was Qi Xian, a pure Yang sect elder from the 5 great sects, capable of covering nearly an entire prefecture. Great Qian had 48. Others could only scan a dozen or few counties at most. Thus, scattered Earth sources rarely attracted many competing grandmasters, unless appearing in concentrations like at Yajianku. Now you arrived at the pure Yang sect. In their premium reception room, Qi Xian poured you tea. Brother Shangguan seems unfamiliar. A recent addition to our ultimate ranks? Playing Shangguan Goxing's bold persona, you laughed heartily. Ha ha ha. Indeed, I only stumbled into this rank half a year ago. With such generosity, Brother Shangguan must hail from a prominent sect? Qi Xian inquired. Your laughter boomed. Just a minor sect with only one ultimate, myself. Brother Shangguan needn't be guarded. I merely wish to know how to contact you with Earth source information. After brief consideration, you replied, Brother Qi Xian, just send messages to the Palace of 10,000 Dreams in Maoxian County, Liuzhou. Palace of 10,000 Dreams. Qi Xian looked puzzled. Forgive my ignorance. I've never heard of it. No wonder. You just invented it moments ago. But by day's end, you'd officially register it for message deliveries. After more small talk, you departed from Maoxian County, where recent conflicts over Nua Opera Mask's Earth source had occurred. There you found a sect undergoing bankruptcy liquidation. Many assumed running sects was profitable, but failures outnumbered successes. The sect's most valuable asset was its 100-acre mountain property now being fire-sold. You acquired it dirt cheap, complete with ready-built halls, plaza, and facilities, move-in ready. Commissioning a grand gilded plaque inscribed with vigorous Palace of 10,000 Dreams calligraphy, you replaced the old sign. The golden characters shimmered brilliantly under sunlight, revitalizing the entire compound. Your palace had successfully reverse-merged into this shell corporation. It would serve as your second base for Earth Source intelligence and enriching Shangguan Goxing's backstory. Thus you officially became the palace's princess. No, palace master. 1 month later, you brought 3 new recruits to the palace. These rare talents, all victims of persecution who'd faced mortal danger, were hard to find. Take Sang Yi, Mara-washing late-stage cultivator. He'd had a beautiful wife stolen by a young master from a powerful family. After arduous training, Sang Yi rescued her, only for her to declare affection for the young master, begging Sang Yi to leave lest the master misunderstand. As Sang Yi's Tao heart shattered in despair, the young master arrived with experts, not to kill him. Only fancy married women, the master explained. If you die, the flavor's ruined. He instructed Sang to take his wife home peacefully, promising only monthly secret visits, 3 to 5 times maximum, with assurances Sang he would never notice. When the wife coquettishly scolded the master for being such a naughty playboy, Sang Yi, feeling out of place for not being perverse enough, saw red and attacked in rage. Sang Yi was no match for those experts and nearly got beaten to death on the spot. At the critical moment, you descended like a divine savior, using your Shangguan Goxing identity to rescue Sang Yi, and let Sang Yi personally kill that young master and his own wife. Sang Yi was so grateful to you, he practically wanted to enshrine you as a deity. Aside from Sang Yi, the other 2 among the trio also had equally explosive stories, which we won't elaborate on one by one. You settled the 3 in the Palace of 10,000 Dreams and provided them cultivation resources. Their job was similar to a receptionist security guard, just receiving and safeguarding Earth source information until your periodic collection. After arranging everything, you returned to Yutong County to continue cultivation. 5th year. You completed the fourth source power condensation of the 9 condensations. Profound skill. Your combat ranking on Great Qian's Ultimate Grandmaster list rose by 1 or 2 positions. Moreover, during this cultivation session, you sensed the bottleneck to mid-Dragon Transformation stage. Dragon Transformation was already a high-level realm for martial artists, yet you saw hope for further advancement within just a few years. Your martial talent was reaching terrifying levels. After completing the 4th condensation, you focused on advancing your 9th grade pill, Refining Arts. You got up from the cultivation chamber and walked to the adjacent pill, Refining Room. Though the 2 rooms weren't that different, you could refine pills without changing rooms. You still preferred keeping activities separate. Taking out the peace token, you began refining 9th grade pills. 9th grade pill refinement was several levels more difficult. After a month, you still hadn't made any progress. Though the peace token helped identify shortcomings, knowing mistakes and correcting them were 2 different matters. You realized recognizing and correcting mistakes wasn't just moral excellence, but also reflected exceptional execution. After resting for a day, you went to Danxia sect to find Xiehuida. You and Xiehuida leisurely drank tea in his courtyard. Presently, Xiehuida was living joyfully every day, with even his long stagnant peak essence refining cultivation showing signs of loosening. You sincerely rejoice for him. Old Xie, with your current state, 9th grade, is within reach. Ha, brother I appreciate your auspicious words. Just then a disciple rushed in. 7th elder, the sect leader summons you. Xiehuida asked. Did the sect leader say what it's about? The disciple glanced subtly at you before whispering in Xiehuida's ear, Elder, Hu Zhongshuan has returned. Xiehuida sprang up instantly and sprinted toward Deng Rusong's courtyard. You quickly set down your teacup and followed earnestly behind Xiehuida, afraid of missing out on the drama. After a few steps, Xiehuida felt something amiss, turning to ask, Brother you're coming too? You laughed heartily. Together. Xiehuida pondered briefly before nodding vigorously. Together. Soon you arrived near Deng Rusong's courtyard. Hu Zhongshuan was already seated inside. Though conversing with Deng Rusong, he was clearly distracted, responding absent-mindedly. The usually composed and solemn Hu Zhongshuan now appeared restless and agitated. At the slightest sound outside the courtyard, Hu Zhongshuan would immediately look up expectantly. Deng Rusong smiled. Zhongshuan, I've already sent someone to notify Wan Shu. There's no need for such nervousness. Hu Zhongshuan nodded perfunctorily. Then rapid footsteps sounded from outside, growing increasingly closer. Each step seemed to tread directly on Hu Zhongshuan's heart. Hu Zhongshuan stood abruptly to greet the arrival. His face alight with excitement, he eagerly looked outside the gate. The next instant, Hu Zhongshuan's joyful expression vanished completely. Instead of his long-yearned junior martial sister, Hu Zhongshuan saw only you and Xiehuida, 2 annoyingly grinning figures. Hu Zhongshuan turned heel and retreated into the courtyard. Xiehuida's face instantly twisted with triumphant mockery. His voice dripped with sarcasm. Well, if it isn't the Grand Martial Arts master returning. The tone made you pause, eerily reminiscent of your own speaking style. Hu Zhongshuan turned his back, refusing to look at Xiehuida, but Xiehuida deliberately positioned himself before Hu Zhongshuan. Grandmaster, what brings you back? Hu Zhongshuan clicked his tongue and turned away again. Xiehuida persisted relentlessly. Grandmaster, you must have reached Ultimate Grandmaster by now. Hu Zhongshuan turned once more. Xiehuida pursued. No, wait, surely you've surpassed Ultimate Grandmaster. That's why you returned to awaken Wan Shu, isn't it? Hu Zhongshuan kept turning helplessly while Xiehuida circled him mockingly. The 2 engaged in a comedic dance, until Deng Rusong could bear no more. He interjected, Enough, Huida. These years Zhongshuan has used his military connections and personal cultivation to greatly facilitate our pill refining material collection. Cease your taunts. Xiehuida knew Deng Rusong spoke truth, reluctantly ending his assault. Hu Zhongshuan turned silently. Noticing you by chance? His expression sobered as he asked. And this is... You nearly blurted out you were here for the drama, but Deng Rusong introduced first. This is young Master Hiyu, who provided us the reviving yang pills. Hu Zhongshuan's furrowed brows immediately smoothed, his scrutinizing gaze transforming into gratitude. He strode over, about to express thanks. Just then, an elated voice called, "Third brother." Hu Zhongshuan froze, as if thunderstruck. Though decades had passed since last hearing it, Hu Zhongshuan would always recognize that voice. Looking up slowly, he saw the lively junior martial sister of his memories standing gracefully nearby. The breeze played with her hair as Deng Wanshu appeared vividly real. In Hu Zhongshuan's eyes, Deng Wanshu became the sole dancer on stage. All spotlights focused on her. Wanshu. This single utterance released years of pent-up emotions. He teleported before Deng Wanshu, reaching out a trembling hand to touch her cheek. The soft, real contact made Hu Zhongshuan's heart tremble before surging with boundless joy. But this joy was interrupted by another hand reaching over. Xia Hueda grabbed Hu Zhongshuan's wrist, prying it away. That's quite enough. Hu Zhongshuan knew he'd lost composure, slightly restraining himself while keeping his gaze locked on Deng Wanshu. Deng Wanshu beamed, looking between Hu Zhongshuan and Xia Hueda. "Third brother, we'll hold a banquet tonight to welcome you back." Hu Zhongshuan's eyes brightened. Wonderful. That evening, Dan Xiaosek's 4 powerhouses gathered, toasting merrily. Of course, you attended as special guest of honor. The 4 frequently toasted you in gratitude. Seeing their raised cups and thankful smiles, it resembled a heartwarming movie's happy ending. But you knew the trio's affections would eventually entangle, uncertain which path they'd take. You could only toast. May your bonds remain beautifully complicated. Tilting your head back, you downed a cup. The revelry lasted late into the night until lamps dimmed and guests departed, leaving you to return alone. Next morning, you awoke early as usual and completed morning training. Your bottleneck from early to mid-dragon transformation was on the verge of breaking. Overjoyed, you cultivated continuously for 5 days. The bottleneck remained on the verge, persisting another 7 days, practically a national holiday's length. The bottleneck stubbornly persisted. You realized this was a so near yet so far situation. Abandoning forced cultivation, you left He Manor. You headed to Palace of 10,000 Dreams to check for new Earth Source intelligence. Ideally news of Qian Metal Nature Earth Source. Obtaining another Qian Metal Nature Earth Source would effortlessly make you invincible. And according to previous simulations, no celestial enemies should appear during this period. You become Great Qian's one true deity. First, I'll kill Lian Long once to prevent any ancestral surprises, avoiding real-world mishaps. Amidst these thoughts, Palace of 10,000 Dreams came into distant view. You quickly arrived at the Palace of 10,000 Dreams, gently landing before the mountain gate. Today it was Sang Yi's turn to guard the entrance. He hurried forward respectfully. "Palace Master." Hearing him address you as Palace Master always made you feel like you had an emperor for a father. You got straight to the point. "Any letters delivered?" Sang Yi flipped open his sleeve and produced 2 letters. "Palace Master, 2 people delivered these letters one after another 2 days ago." Your eyes lit up. You had expected it would take longer to receive news, yet here were results so soon. Taking the letters, you saw one was from Qi Xian of the Pure Yang sect, the other from another ultimate grandmaster with Earth affinity. Nodding, you were about to fly directly to the main hall when you noticed Sang Yi looking at you strangely, his expression conflicted and hesitant. Frowning, you spoke in a low voice. "I'll only warn you once. Put that ass away and face me properly when speaking." Sang Yi trembled in fear and turned around. "Palace Master, wasn't this why you saved us? What the hell have you idiots been imagining these past few days?" It turned out when Sang Yi went to rescue his reconciled wife, he expected to die on the spot. Yet you, an ultimate grandmaster with no prior connection, had saved him for no apparent reason. Having nothing to his name but a worthless life, Sang Yi couldn't understand your motives. After comparing notes with the other two rescued men, they realized all three shared similar backgrounds, complete losers with nothing to lose. Their imaginations ran wild. Finally, the 200-pound roughneck Zhao Wunyan spoke up. "Seems the palace master wants our bodies." Sang Yi froze, glancing at Zhao Wunyan's thick chest hair fluttering in the wind. "You really think so?" Zhao Wunyan scratched his head. "Worth a try. Ultimate grandmasters have weird tastes sometimes." Somehow this made sense to Sang Yi and the third man, leading to Sang Yi's current attempt. After hearing this explanation, your gaze turned icy. "Keep up this nonsense, and I'll personally deliver you back to your enemies." Without another word, you flew toward the main hall. Shortly after you left, Zhao Wunyan came running to the gate. "See, I told you the palace master wasn't into your type." Sang Yi nodded solemnly in agreement. In the main hall, you opened and read both letters. Though from different ultimate grandmasters, their contents were similar. An Earth source would appear near a small island in the Eastern Sea in 1 month. A with ring above Beta Epsilon. Calculating that the journey from Palace of 10,000 Dreams would take about 7 days, you decided to stay and use the 20 days remaining to attempt breaking through to mid-stage dragon transformation. Success would propel your combat strength into the Great Qian Empire's top 5, giving you better odds at securing the Earth source. Your palace stood on Flower Fruit Mountain, a name you chose because owning the entire mountain meant naming rights, where you began cultivating in a mountaintop villa. Though sometimes at midnight, you worried about copyright issues. 12 days passed in a flash. During cultivation, you suddenly stopped energy circulation. Rising slowly, your aura exploded outward like thunder across the mountain peak as your formidable source power resonated intensely. You had successfully broken through to mid-stage Ultimate Grandmaster Dragon Transformation. Your combat strength now ranked alongside elite Ultimate Grandmasters like Lin Jingji and Lian Long. In celebration, you circled Flower Fruit Mountain twice. Beyond the breakthrough, you were thrilled to have comprehended another new opera mask. This second mask allowed perfect concealment, undetectable by even ultimate grandmasters unless physically seen. Now you could safely play the lurking predator. Your comprehension speed with the masks was astonishing. You couldn't understand why someone so upright excelled at these sneaky Earth source techniques. "Must be because I'm a genius," you declared confidently. With 7-8 days remaining before departure, you attempted introductory 9-star pill refining. By the 17th evening, despite no real progress, you understood why only those with divine microvision could become 9-star refiners. The precision required surpassed normal vision, needing microscopic-level perception like viewing through a microscope. Since becoming an ultimate grandmaster, your divine microvision lasted longer with shorter recovery periods, surpassing mastery to reach unprecedented levels. You realized its strength correlated with mental state and began compiling methods to enhance it into a manual titled Mind Evolution Art, still incomplete but improving. Accepting no imminent breakthrough in pill refining, you decided to leave 3 days early. Before departing, you summoned Sang Yi's trio, instructing them to guard the palace and cultivate properly. No more 3 moonlit hunks nonsense. Understanding your meaning, they promptly stopped sticking their butts out. You couldn't stand the sight of these idiots another second. You should have let their enemies finish them off, maybe even helped if this were now. Leaving Wanji Palace, no, Palace of 10,000 Dreams, the trio waved goodbye from the mountaintop as you flew eastward at near-escape velocity. After 6 days of furious flying, you entered eastern sea waters. Endless blue stretched to the horizon where sea met sky, inspiring poetic urges. Colorful clouds and wild ducks fly together. Autumn waters share heaven's hue. Floating proudly, you marveled at your literary genius. If talent were grain, I'd own 8 measures while all scholars owe me 12,000. Suddenly, intense source power fluctuations ahead snapped you from self-admiration. Shit, they're already fighting. You sensed intense fluctuations high in the sky, quickly activating the aura of the new opera mask to conceal yourself, then directly ascending into the air. You found a pure white, soft cloud to hide within. Looking down into the sky below, you saw a large monk and a gray-robed man exchanging blows, fighting fiercely with great enthusiasm. That large monk was still an acquaintance of yours, Master Mingjue. The gray-robed man, surprisingly, had an earth source bowl hanging at his waist, indicating he had already collected that earth source. You secretly felt relieved to have departed 3 days early and to have flown all the way at limited speed. Otherwise, you definitely would have missed this earth source. You understood that Qi Xian and the others had large timing errors estimating when the earth source would appear. You decided that in the future, whenever you search for earth source, you would leave at least half a month in advance. Otherwise, if you are outmatched and cannot snatch the earth source, you accept defeat and try again next time. But if you come too late and miss the earth source, then your thoughts would be blocked and your plans ruined. What struck you as especially strange on the battlefield was that besides the gray-robed man and Master Mingjue, there were also 3 huge Emberhawks circling around them. The 3 Emberhawks spread their wings wide, each reaching a wingspan of 6 to 7 meters. They continuously let out sharp howls, generating shock waves that interfered with Master Mingjue's mental clarity. Your zoo also had Emberhawks, but compared to these 3, your Emberhawks were nothing more than chicks. You were very puzzled. Your Emberhawks usually ate 5th-grade blood essence pills, so how could there be such a huge difference between them and the gray-robed man's 3? You looked at Guolan and smiled. Do you think I lack money? Guolan lowered his head awkwardly, pursing his lips. After some thought, his eyes regained their determination as he spoke earnestly. Young master, one can never have too much money. Just name a price for letting me copy that pill scripture, and I'll do my utmost to meet your demand. Your tone remained calm. This ancestral pill scripture has no price, or rather, the wealth you'd earn in a lifetime couldn't cover its value. I'm not belittling you, just stating facts. The resolve in Guolan's eyes wavered before he nodded silently. I understand. Thank you for tolerating my presumption, young master, You waved dismissively. My apologies for disturbing you, young master. I'll take my leave. Guolan picked up the large cloth bag at his feet and stood to depart. Casually, you asked, what's in that bag? Guolan's face flushed with embarrassment as he hesitated. Just sell my... His words trailed off. You chuckled. Your most valuable possessions, meant to demonstrate your sincerity. Yes. Guolan's voice was barely audible. Having recently advanced to a first-grade pill refiner and become an official Danxia sect disciple, Guolan had felt his year-long frustrations melt away. But the sudden release after such prolonged suppression had made him overconfident about his future prospects. In his excitement, he'd gathered everything he considered valuable to showcase his sincerity. Only upon meeting you did he gradually realize someone who casually invested in improving 5th-grade pill recipes wasn't ordinary, nor would they particularly value a first-grade pill refiner. Guolan understood now that your politeness stemmed merely from your cultured manners, not from his own importance. This realization made the contents of his bag seem laughable, so much so that he couldn't even bring himself to answer. Yet you tilted your chin. Let's have a look. Young master, there's no need. Be good and show me. With resignation, Guolan opened the bag. Inside were some silver tails, blood chi pills, assorted lesser pills, and, most absurdly, preserved fish and cured meats. Picking up a piece of salted fish, you remarked with mock surprise, how fortunate I've become to receive disaster relief rations from you. Guolan gave a pained smile. Young master, these were provisions from my family before I joined Danxia sect. My mother said they'd keep well on the journey. His use of my mother said reminded you of an old acquaintance. Your expression softened as you held up the fish. Mind if I keep this piece? Of course, young master. Guolan answered hastily. You had old Wang take the fish away and offered Guolan 2 taels of silver. Not taking it for free. Guolan refused repeatedly and ultimately left without accepting the silver, bag in hand. Watching his retreating figure, you shook your head. Guolan's peculiar pill refining talent was indeed unusual, but his overall progression only placed him slightly above average. His lengthy dormant periods, where he couldn't refine a single pill of corresponding grade, made his ability rather impractical. You soon dismissed him from your thoughts and returned to cultivation. 1 month later, you completed your second refinement of source power. Your exceptional martial talent had accelerated the process. After a day's rest, you inspected your zoo domain. Epsilon. Tired of commuting between manor and zoo, you'd hired 2 skin refining siblings, He-Shan and He-Ing-Chun, to tend the animals at a generous wage. Their diligence showed. Every creature was robust and well-groomed. He-Ing-Chun was trimming an eclipse wolf's claws while He-Shan polished a mist elephant's tusks. When the recently egg-laying Emberhawk went hunting, He-Shan had even taken turns incubating the egg. Their dedication was evident. Young master, you're here. He-Shan approached, pausing his work. He-Ing-Chun set down her shears and followed. You observe them. You've cared for my treasures meticulously. It's our duty. He-Shan scratched his head. Their motivation was understandable. Your payments were extraordinarily lavish. My treasures have been on blood essence pills for a month now. Any effects? He-Shan promptly presented detailed records of the animal's measurements and capabilities. The pills had already produced marked improvements. You nodded inwardly. Old Xie knew his craft. Seeing the siblings' earnest smiles, you patted He-Shan's shoulder. Keep it up, and next year I might upgrade to a bigger estate. He-Shan beamed. I won't let you down, young master. Another month passed. At dusk, having completed your daily cultivation, Old Wang announced a Danxia sect elder's visit, a hairy-faced, thunder-mouthed elder named Xie Huida. Young master, will you receive him? Old Wang inquired. You countered, Old Wang. Do you wish to live? Old Wang recoiled. Young master, I very much do. Then prepare our finest banquet. I'll have proper words with this master refiner. At once, young master. Though tempted to greet Xie Huida personally, you reconsidered. An 8th-grade pill refiner like yourself welcoming some insignificant 7th-grade peer? Preposterous. Old Wang, bring this minor refiner up, you commanded. Old Wang's eyes twinkled. As you wish, young master. I'll invite Elder Xian. As Old Wang turned, you amended. Actually, I'll condescend to greet him myself. You hastened to the gate with Old Wang. There stood Xie Huida, his pale gray robes immaculate, his piercing eyes bright beneath sharp brows. He appeared younger than when you'd first met him, fresher than on his death day. You strode forward and seized his hand. Elder Xie, long time no see. Unaccustomed to modern etiquette, Xie Huida rested his hand free and stepped back. Young master, we've never met before. You smiled. I've long admired you. You looked at Guolan and smiled. Do you think I lack money? Guolan lowered his head awkwardly, pursing his lips. After some thought, his eyes regained their determination as he spoke earnestly. Young master, one can never have too much money. Just name a price for letting me copy that pill scripture, and I'll do my utmost to meet your demand. Your tone remained calm. This ancestral pill scripture has no price, or rather, the wealth you'd earn in a lifetime couldn't cover its value. I'm not belittling you, just stating facts. The resolve in Guolan's eyes wavered before he nodded silently. I understand. Thank you for tolerating my presumption, young master, You waved dismissively. My apologies for disturbing you, young master. I'll take my leave. Guolan picked up the large cloth bag at his feet and stood to depart. Casually, you asked, what's in that bag? Guolan's face flushed with embarrassment as he hesitated. Just sell my... His words trailed off. You chuckled. Your most valuable possessions, meant to demonstrate your sincerity. Yes. Guolan's voice was barely audible. Having recently advanced to a 1st-grade pill refiner and become an official Danxia sect disciple, Guolan had felt his year-long frustrations melt away. But the sudden release, after such prolonged suppression, had made him overconfident about his future prospects. In his excitement, he'd gathered everything he considered valuable to showcase his sincerity. Only upon meeting you did he gradually realize someone who casually invested in improving fifth-grade pill recipes wasn't ordinary, nor would they particularly value a first-grade pill refiner. Guolan understood now that your politeness stemmed merely from your cultured manners, not from his own importance. This realization made the contents of his bag seem laughable, so much so that he couldn't even bring himself to answer. Yet you tilted your chin. Let's have a look. Ah, young master, there's no need. Be good and show me. With resignation, Guolan opened the bag. Inside were some silver tails, blood-chi pills, assorted lesser pills, and, most absurdly, preserved fish and cured meats. Picking up a piece of salted fish, you remarked with mock surprise, "How fortunate I've become to receive disaster relief rations from you." Guolan gave a pained smile. "Young master, these were provisions from my family before I joined Dansha's sect. My mother said they'd keep well on the journey." His use of "my mother said" reminded you of an old acquaintance. Your expression softened as you held up the fish. "Mind if I keep this piece?" "Of course, young master," Guolan answered hastily. You had Old Wang take the fish away and offered Guolan 2 taels of silver. Not taking it for free, Guolan refused repeatedly and ultimately left without accepting the silver, bag in hand. Watching his retreating figure, you shook your head. Guolan's peculiar pill refining talent was indeed unusual, but his overall progression only placed him slightly above average. His lengthy dormant periods, where he couldn't refine a single pill of corresponding grade, made his ability rather impractical. You soon dismissed him from your thoughts and returned to cultivation. 1 month later, you completed your second refinement of source power. Your exceptional martial talent had accelerated the process. After a day's rest, you inspected your zoo domain. Epsilon. Tired of commuting between manor and zoo, you'd hired 2 skin refining siblings, He-Shan and He-Ing-Chun, to tend the animals at a generous wage. Their diligence showed. Every creature was robust and well-groomed. He-Ing-Chun was trimming an eclipse wolf's claws while He-Shan polished a missed elephant's tusks. When the recently egg-laying Emberhawk went hunting, He-Shan had even taken turns incubating the egg. Their dedication was evident. "Young master, you're here." He-Shan approached, pausing his work. He-Ing-Chun set down her shears and followed. "You observe them. You've cared for my treasures meticulously." "It's our duty." He-Shan scratched his head. Their motivation was understandable. Your payments were extraordinarily lavish. "My treasures have been on blood essence pills for a month now." "Any effects?" He-Shan promptly presented detailed records of the animal's measurements and capabilities. The pills had already produced marked improvements. You nodded inwardly. Old Xie knew his craft. Seeing the siblings' earnest smiles, you patted He-Shan's shoulder. "Keep it up, and next year I might upgrade to a bigger estate." He-Shan beamed. "I won't let you down, young master." Another month passed. At dusk, having completed your daily cultivation, Old Wang announced a Danxia sect elder's visit, a hairy-faced, thunder-mouthed elder named Xie Huida. "Young master, will you receive him?" Old Wang inquired. You countered, "Old Wang, do you wish to live?" Old Wang recoiled. "Young master, I very much do." "Then prepare our finest banquet. I'll have proper words with this master refiner." "At once, young master." Though tempted to greet Xie Huida personally, you reconsidered. An 8th-grade pill refiner like yourself welcoming some insignificant 7th-grade peer? Preposterous. "Old Wang, bring this minor refiner up," you commanded. Old Wang's eyes twinkled. "As you wish, young master. I'll invite Elder Xian." As Old Wang turned, you amended, "Actually, I'll condescend to greet him myself." You hastened to the gate with Old Wang. There stood Xie Huida, his pale gray robes immaculate, his piercing eyes bright beneath sharp brows. He appeared younger than when you'd first met him, fresher than on his death day. You strode forward and seized his hand. "Elder Xie, long time no see." Unaccustomed to modern etiquette, Siehueta rested his hand free and stepped back. Young master, we've never met before. You smiled. I've long admired you. Brother Kong, you've misunderstood. I'm just taking them back to raise and admire for a year. When the time's up, I'll return them. I absolutely won't let a single feather of the 3 treasures fall. Kong Ling raised his eyebrows and regained his spirit. Brother Shangguan, you really mean that? Absolutely. After a year, you bring the 5 sea swallows to the palace of 10,000 dreams, and I'll return the Emberhawks intact. You placed a 7th grade healing pill in front of Kong Ling. This is my sincerity. You quietly calculated in your mind. The essence blood value of 3 Emberhawks far exceeded this 7th grade pill. Kong Ling's expression brightened immediately, and he quickly took the pill. Brother Shangguan, you're generous. Kong Ling had expected you to forcibly snatch the Emberhawks, but now you were basically letting the beast-taming sect raise 3 Emberhawks for free for a year. Plus, Kong Ling got a 7th grade pill for himself. He felt like he had gained big time. What Kong Ling didn't know was that he might gain, but you would never lose. This time you took the initiative. Brother Kong, you may go now. Until we meet again. Kong Ling was relieved and turned to fly away. Brother Shangguan, see you in a year. The 3 Emberhawks wanted to follow Kong Ling right after he flew off. But with a roll of your source power in your hand, no matter how hard the 3 huge Emberhawks flapped, they couldn't fly and just circled in place. The 3 Emberhawks seemed to sense danger, fluttering desperately in the direction Kong Ling had flown. You laughed. Daddy doesn't want you anymore. The 3 Emberhawks flapped even more wildly, almost able to talk in frustration. You didn't care, wrapping the Emberhawks and heading towards the palace of 10,000 dreams. You had injected your source power mark into the 5 sea swallows you gave Kong Ling, so you weren't afraid he would switch them. While flying, you pondered whether the beast-taming sect's territory really gave such a huge benefit to animals. Judging by Kong Ling's expression, it didn't seem like a lie. You also got the secret formulas and gave 5 sea swallows to Kong Ling for breeding, so you could do a controlled test. If the effect really only happens within the beast-taming sect's territory, then this place must have something special. You also wondered whether the beast-taming sect first developed its beast-taming ability and then found this place to establish the sect, or if they found this feng shui treasure land first, and then made beast-taming their main business. You planned to ask next time. You figured that after you found and fused the 2nd dry metal affinity earth source, you'd go to the beast-taming sect to see what's really going on. Thinking this, you looked at the earth source bowl in your hand. You lifted the cover and quickly stored the earth source inside your spatial pocket. Your consciousness entered the space. Your manifested consciousness became more solid and stable, which you guessed was due to progress in divine microvision. The hazy mist gradually dispersed, revealing the scenery inside. When you saw the earth source's form clearly, a huge smile broke out on your face. Ha, lucky! In the center of that earth source floated a perfectly proportioned, harmoniously shaped precious blade, radiating an overwhelming vast aura. You recognized the earth source immediately. Heavenly Mist Blade, Dry Metal Affinity, ranked 5th. You were overwhelmed with joy, never expecting to collect the target earth source so quickly. You didn't want to wait a moment longer and immediately began to comprehend the earth source. This comprehension brought you even greater surprise, because the moment your consciousness touched the Heavenly Mist Blade, it instantly accepted your aura and even trembled continuously, as if it was leaping with excitement. You grew excited too. To focus fully on comprehending the earth source, you stopped flying yourself. You flipped over and landed on the back of a fire Emberhawk, guiding its direction with a small amount of source power. The fire Emberhawk instinctively flapped its wings wildly. Normally obedient and well-behaved, it had never been ridden by outsiders before, so it was a little uncomfortable at first. 2 streams of your source power shot out, instantly forming 2 large lumps on the fire Emberhawk's head. It immediately understood you were its new master and quickly calmed down. You were thus able to focus on comprehending the earth source. 14 days later, You returned to the palace of 10,000 dreams. You mostly rode the Fire Ember Hawk back, so it was much slower than when you went. In these more than 10 days of comprehending the Earth Source, you had gained some harvest. You figured out that the Heavenly Mist Blade could manifest a blade technique called the Life and Death Slash. This technique emphasized exerting full strength without reservation, exploding with all the power in your body. When this slash lands, it decides life or death. It was very suitable for a reckless player like you who was determined to go all out no matter what. You landed in the main hall of the Palace of 10,000 Dreams and summoned Sang, E, and the other two. Their gazes toward you had become much more normal, but now carried endless fiery admiration. You felt something was off and asked, "Did you all somehow train your brains into muscles? What the hell kind of look is that you're giving me?" Sang E quickly said, "Palace Lord, word has spread in the martial world that you are an unparalleled ultimate grandmaster, and you're at least ranked in the top 3. Who spread that?" "Master Mingjue from Vajra Temple, and this claim was confirmed by Elder Kong Ling from the beast-taming sect." You reclined in your chair, understanding the situation. That old bald monk Mingjue was trying to save face by inflating your strength infinitely, making himself look less weak. As for Kong Ling, he was probably just sweet-talking you, since praising was better than insulting. Your true combat power would place you around 3rd to 6th among the ultimate grandmasters. Anyway, they were all top-tier players of the same league, so the difference wasn't huge. What Mingjue and Kong Ling didn't know was that after you fully fused with the Heavenly Mist Blade, your strength would far exceed even their wildest imaginations. Sang E and the other two stared fixedly at you. "Palace Lord, is it true? Are you really that strong?" You waved dismissively. "Don't listen to the nonsense in the martial world. I'm not that weak." "Ah." The 3 were stunned instantly. "What You don't believe me? Want to spar one-on-one with me?" "Not at all. Palace Lord, we wouldn't dare." You crossed your legs. Since the old bald monk Mingjue had already blown you up, you might as well brag even bigger and play the role thoroughly. Besides, combat power had no concrete measurement standard like a running race where seconds mattered. If someone really challenged you, just say you've been sick lately, with palace cold, and need to recuperate. After a few years of recuperation, you'd finish fusing with the Heavenly Mist Blade. When someone dares to challenge you then, one slash would cut their medical insurance bill into arrears. One brag wasn't enough for you, so you made up a few more stories about yourself, making Sang E and the others gasp repeatedly. After satisfying your bragging urge, you got down to business. You instructed Sang E to find a blacksmith and forge 6 iron chains as thick as his waist to tie up 3 Fire Ember Hawks. You planned to keep the Fire Ember Hawks in the Palace of 10,000 Dreams, since bringing them back to the zoo might expose your identity. You also made Zhao Wunyan responsible for taking care of the 3 Fire Ember Hawks from now on, giving him some 2nd and 3rd grade nourishing pills enough to feed the hawks for a month. Since you needed to extract the hawk's essence blood, you had to supplement them a bit. The Fire Ember Hawks were too weak and might be noticed by Kong Ling. If Kong Ling noticed and wasn't tactful, you would be forced into killing, and you dreaded killing people. Umipa. After giving all instructions, you extracted the essence blood from the Fire Ember Hawks, and all 3 immediately wilted and lost their vigor. You obtained 3 drops of Fire Ember Hawk essence blood in total. Although all 3 drops came from the same species, you wanted to see if this quality of essence blood could have a stacking effect. You had suspected long ago that the reason the guarding gate body technique required different types of essence blood was only because ordinary beast essence blood wasn't strong enough. You believed that because ordinary essence blood's strengthening ability on the human body was weak, the second drop of the same type might sense the area was already transformed by the predecessor, and due to its limited ability, it would give up and slack off. But if very strong essence blood merged into the body, it might think, "What? The arm is already fixed? Then I'll damn well fix your legs too." Holding this suspicion, you went to the villa atop Flower Fruit Mountain that same day. You completed the fusion of the 3 drops of Fire Ember Hawk essence blood. Sitting cross-legged in the training room, Your eyes shone with joy. All 3 drops of essence blood took effect and completed a stacked strengthening. Your extra physical strength rose from late bone tempering to early marrow washing stage. You laughed heartily, ha ha ha, awesome. Your guess was confirmed. As long as the essence blood itself was strong enough, it could repeatedly strengthen the body. Moreover, the strength of these 3 drops of essence blood exceeded your expectations. The beast taming sect is impressive. That's quite something. You planned that once you finished fusing with the heavenly mistblade, you would immediately visit the beast taming sect to better understand whether their territorial strength was really that extraordinary. You stood up and walked outside the villa, intending to return to Utah County to enter seclusion and continue comprehending the Earth source. But the moment you activated your source power to take off, you suddenly felt as if something new had appeared inside you, a strange sensation. Your expression changed instantly, and you landed back on the ground. You carefully checked your entire body several times, but found nothing unusual. You activated your source power again, but the subtle feeling had vanished completely. Your brows furrowed as you thought of the 3 fire emberhawks. Are these birds poisonous? But then you realized that couldn't be. If they wanted to harm you this way, they would have had to know your hidden identity in advance. Know you wanted to collect Earth Source. Know your departure time. Know you were playing with animals. Know you wanted the fire emberhawks, and cultivate poisonous fire emberhawks ahead of time. They would even have to mobilize 2 ultimate grandmasters to put on a show for you. That was too absurd and absolutely impossible. Anyone capable of that would have already crushed you with raw strength. So it can only be that there's something wrong with the beast taming sect. They raise such big birds. Maybe someone spiked their well water with steroids. You check your body a few more times, but still found nothing unusual. Your expression darkened, and your gaze grew cold. You went straight to the place in the Palace of 10,000 Dreams where the 3 fire emberhawks were kept. You pulled over one fire emberhawk and forcefully probed its body with source power, allowing the surging energy to roam and stir recklessly inside. The massive fire emberhawk let out a pained shriek, but wrapped in your overwhelming source power, it couldn't move. After a long time, you stopped the examination. Still, you found nothing. You thought for a moment and decided not to wait any longer. You would go to the beast taming sect now. If even you, a proud ultimate grandmaster, couldn't find the hidden danger, you had to figure it out. If you brought this hidden danger back to the real world and it was inherited, everything would be over. You shot straight into the sky and sped rapidly toward the beast taming sect. The beast taming sect is located within the vast Qianming mountain range, which stretches thousands of miles, providing natural superior conditions for cultivating beasts for the sect. You sped northeastward and arrived at the Qianming mountain range after 17 days. Instead of heading straight to the beast taming sect, you wandered alone within the mountains for 5 days. During that time, you captured over 100 beasts and extracted their vital blood, inspecting it carefully multiple times. With your level 8 pill refiner skills and already advanced medical expertise, you found no issues. All the beast blood was perfectly normal. You refined all the vital blood, but unlike before, you did not refine it within your body. Instead, you refined it outside your body into a state ready for fusion. Still, no abnormalities were detected. Although you found no problems, you prudently chose not to fuse the blood and stored all the refined vital blood in your spatial pocket. You rubbed your chin and said, "It's very likely that the small animals in the beast taming sect are the ones having problems, but going directly to ask might not get you the truth." So, using the invisibility feature of the new opera mask, you sneaked into the beast taming sect in the dead of night. You arrived at the largest breeding ground in the sect, your eyes glowing red like a ghostly apparition as you floated silently through it. In the blink of an eye, you extracted 31 drops of vital blood. You came and went like the wind, unseen and unheard. After leaving the beast taming sect, you found a resting spot in the Qianming Mountains and began refining the vital blood outside your body into a state ready for fusion. The first 20 drops refined without issue, But when refining the 21st, that strange sensation reappeared. You vaguely sensed that something was dispersing from that drop of vital blood, after which it became indistinguishable from ordinary vital blood. When you fused the vital blood of 3 Emberhawks, you experienced the same feeling. Some original substance in the vital blood was dispersing within your body. Your worry instantly lessened. Since something was dispersing, it wouldn't affect your physical body. You then refined a remaining 9 drops, and no abnormalities occurred again. You remembered that the drop which dispersed came from a very strong, fierce beast. You couldn't help but speculate that the stronger the vital blood, the more likely it is to have that dispersing sensation. You furrowed your brow and thought, could it be a problem with the guarding gate body technique? Maybe the vital blood's quality exceeded the refining limit of the guarding gate body technique, and the excess had to be discarded, which is why something seemed to dissipate. Or perhaps the vital blood quality was too high, making the fusion process a bit unruly, so it struggled a little in the end. But no matter which was true, at least you were sure the beast-taming sect wasn't deliberately doing anything. You were also sure that these vital blood drops weren't technologically enhanced or tampered with, so they had no negative effects on you. Still, these are just your guesses. Until you fully understood the situation, you didn't plan to fuse these vital blood drops. Those 31 fusion-ready drops were also stored in your spatial pocket. You planned to enclose an area within the Qianming mountain range and use the beast-taming sect's secret beast-taming manual to cultivate small animals. You would also use the same manual to cultivate small animals at the Yutong County Zoo. This way, with the beast-taming sect, the Qianming mountain range, and the zoo as 3 different control locations, you could verify under what conditions the vital blood became so potent. During your refining, you noticed these vital blood drops were not as high quality as the 3 Emberhawks' vital blood. You silently smiled and thought, looks like those 3 Emberhawks are rare treasures even in the beast-taming sect. No wonder Kongling looks so heartbroken. You immediately planned to leave the Qianming Mountains, but then you remembered the many fierce beasts within the sect and their enticing vital blood. Though these beasts were not as high quality as the 3 Emberhawks, their sheer numbers made up for it. Even if you didn't fuse them now, they could exist in your spatial pocket, waiting to be fused once you figured things out. But these beasts are after all raised by the beast-taming sect. Doing this feels unethical. You look conflicted, troubled for exactly 0.1 seconds. In the end, you decided to follow your profession's motto. Thieves never walk away empty-handed. Just one last time, I'll take the last batch, and then I'll quit starting tomorrow. You immediately touched down at various breeding grounds in the beast-taming sect and flickered through them, gathering 416 drops of vital blood. Of course, this number was not the limit of all beasts in the sect. These were carefully selected drops. Since getting a taste of Emberhawk's refined vital blood, you had become somewhat picky. Actually, with your strength, you could have forced the beast-taming sect to willingly give you these treasures. But that would risk exposing your cultivation of the guarding gate body technique and revealing your identity as He-You. Another minor reason was that you found sneaking around like this too thrilling. After extracting the vital blood, you left the beast-taming sect without a sound. At dawn, an ordinary disciple of the sect yawned and started his daily beast training. When he summoned his cold shadow leopard, he found it dull-eyed and listless, as if it had been tormented by its mother for 3 days straight. The disciple quickly used true qi to investigate and discovered the leopard's internal qi and blood were severely depleted and decayed. He was shocked and about to ask others when everyone around suddenly howled towards the sky. Who the hell did this? By then, you were already on your way back to Yutong County. 3 days ago, you had finished refining all 416 drops of vital blood, which you also stored in your spatial pocket. Other people's little beasts sure are fun to siphon from. You felt a thrill like finding free money. During refining, that dispersing sensation appeared 14 more times. You completely confirmed that the stronger the fierce beast, the more likely this sensation would occur. You called this phenomenon potent beast blood. You plan to wait a few years for the beast-taming sect to rehabilitate the batch of beasts you had drawn from before coming back for another harvest. The next time, the brothers in the beast-taming sect should agree, since they tacitly accepted it this time. Feeling good, you hummed a little tune as you returned to your manor in Yutong County. Old Wong hadn't seen you for a month or two and rushed out anxiously when he saw you. Young master, you're finally back. Old Wong, your emotions are strong this time, but overly eager with too little joy. Improve next time. Not young master. This time it's serious. You raise an eyebrow. What's wrong? The He siblings helping you manage the zoo want to quit. I left you enough silver before I left. How can you run out of monthly wages so quickly? No, young master, I paid their wages as usual. It's the He siblings who had a conflict with Dong Jijia. Tell me about it. As Old Wong explained, you understood that Dong Jijia acted like an evil creature specialist, conducting crazy experiments in the zoo and creating many strange and disgusting things. The two siblings were heartbroken watching their carefully cared-for animals being ruthlessly harmed by Dong Jijia. But Dong Jijia was following your orders to create new species for you. The He siblings knew they were just working for you and had no right to complain, so they had reluctantly endured for over a year. Until recently, they couldn't bear it anymore and wanted to resign, but you weren't around. Being honest, they didn't run off home immediately, but continued to care for the animals, waiting for your return to discuss quitting. In recent days, the siblings had some conflicts with Dong Jijia, nearly coming to blows. That was why Old Wong hurried to tell you about the matter. You nodded. All right, I understand. You headed straight to the zoo. You found that the He siblings were indeed responsible, not just quitting outright, but waiting for you to return. You thought to yourself, perfect. I can rest assured sending them out. Also, you were curious about what Dong Jijia had been creating that made the He siblings willing to give up high salaries and run away. You quickly arrived at the zoo. The He siblings saw you and felt a huge relief, hurriedly coming over to discuss their resignation. You told them to wait a moment first. Then you went to the tall laboratory specially built for Dong Jijia. The He siblings did not follow. You pushed open the door and entered the lab. Dong Jijia didn't even look up and continued working. If you don't like what I do, you can leave. Don't bother me. Who will provide you with experimental resources if I leave? Dong Jijia was stunned, then looked up excitedly. Young master, you're back. I came to check your experimental results. Dong Jijia laughed heartily. Good. Good. I wanted to show young master anyway. Please come this way. Dong Jijia led you to a larger room deeper inside. As the door opened, all kinds of creatures came into view. Young master, look, this is a two-headed horse. One head in front, one in back. You frowned. When it runs, does it run forward or backward? Sideways. Dong Jijia answered cheerfully. You looked at the two-headed horse again. In fact, a horse's rear end had been grafted with a head. You asked, without a rear end, how does it defecate? It spits it out of the mouth on the rear head. Dong Jijia said excitedly. Your pupils shrank. You gave Dong Jijia a thumbs up. Damn, you really are something. Nothing can stop you. Dong Jijia got even more excited after your praise. Young master and this one here is a mermaid. You saw a huge water tank with a big blue fish swimming inside. Estimated to weigh over 100 gene, about 110 pounds. You asked, isn't this just an ordinary big blue fish? Where's the mermaid part? Dong Jijia immediately jumped into the tank with a splash, scooped up the mermaid, and held it in his hands. Young master, look. Your eyes twitched as you saw the mermaid's upper body was fish, but the lower half was a human waist and legs, struggling fiercely. It turned out the mermaid's legs were paddling underwater. You had only seen the fish head before and missed the lower half. You didn't know what to say, so you muttered nonsense. All right, fine. You're still a pragmatist. Dong Jijia even explained proactively. Young master, I bought the human torso from the execution ground. Very fresh. You shook your head. No need to explain so thoroughly. Dong Jijia grew more and more excited. Young master, there's this too. He led over a camel with a lizard lying on its back. Dong Jijia quickly said, the excrement of the five-colored camel contains nutrients essential for the scaled lizard, So I sewed the lizard's mouth onto the 5 colored camels. Oh, with diuresis bought epsilon. Enough. Stop sewing. You hurriedly interrupted Dong Jijia. I'm going out to get some fresh air. You walked out of the laboratory with a solemn expression. You went to the He siblings, patted both of their shoulders, and sighed deeply. These past 2 years, you've worked hard. The two siblings immediately had tears in their eyes. Finally, someone understood their pain. You also finally understood why they gave up high salaries just to escape. What Dong Jijia created was too disgusting. If Dong Jijia were back in your hometown, he would definitely be charged with crimes against humanity. At this moment, Dong Jijia happily ran out. Young master, he, feeling better now? I still have many things to show you. No need to show me anything else. You've already won. Dong Jijia's creations were just too ruthless, and you were a bit overwhelmed. Now you understood that the powerful, vital blood from beasts could stack, so there was no need to focus on the number of species, just the quality. You told Dong Jijia not to create these anti-human things anymore, at least not in your zoo. Although Dong Jijia didn't fully understand, he agreed and promised not to do such things in front of you. You asked Dong Jijia to accompany you to the Qianming mountain range later to raise small animals using the Beast Taming Sect's secret beast taming manual. You instructed him to stay in the mountain range for at least 3 to 5 years. Dong Jijia agreed immediately. He originally was from the Beast Taming Sect and was very familiar with the Qianming mountain range. Besides, Dong Jijia was a lonely old bachelor. He could stay anywhere. If he got bored in the mountains, he could at least interact with the mermaid. Dong Jijia was very happy to receive the Beast Taming Manual, which he couldn't get before as an ordinary disciple. He held the manual lovingly, itching to dive into the Qianming mountain range and play happily with the animals right away. The He siblings were left at the zoo to also raise small animals using the Beast Taming Manual. The two siblings were very happy to live a normal life again and wouldn't have to see those disgusting things anymore. They felt psychologically traumatized and really needed to see a psychologist for counseling. After arranging these matters, you returned to your manor. This time, you planned to close yourself off completely to finish comprehending the heavenly mistblade. As soon as you entered, Old Wang told you that Guolan from the Danxia sect had been waiting for you for a while. You were a little puzzled. What is he here for again? You walked straight into the reception room, and Guolan politely stood up. You walked over and sat down. Sit down. Haven't seen you for years. Where have you been making money recently? Guolan forced a weak smile. Young master, I have already quit the Danxia sect and am going home. You tilted your head. No need to be so euphemistic. Tell me how you got expelled. Young master, I really quit voluntarily. You took a sip of tea from Old Wang. Go on. Guolan hesitated. I feel the Danxia sect isn't suitable for me to refine pills. The Danxia sect isn't suitable for your pill refining? You raised an eyebrow and looked at him. Then do you think the Blood Demon sect or the Joyful Zen sect is suitable for you? Guolan heard your sarcasm but wasn't angry. He sighed. I just think I'm not cut out for pill refining. I haven't made any progress in 3 years. You paused for a moment. It's fine if you go home. You can't stay in a bustling international metropolis like Yutong County. Yutong County doesn't believe in tears. Guolan just looked at you without saying anything. You continued. After going back home, you have a first-grade pill refining technique. You could be a barefoot doctor, treating headaches and colds, earning some money, marrying a big plump wife, and having a chubby little son. That's not bad. Guolan was silent for a long time after hearing you. Finally, he stood up. Young master, then I'll take my leave. You smiled. See you again someday. Guolan left the manor directly. You stood for a moment, shook your head, and went to the cultivation room. You knew Guolan wasn't just here to say goodbye. He actually wanted to play the pity card and ask about your ancestral pill book. But seeing you gave him no chance, he had no choice but to give up. You entered the cultivation room, calmed your mind, and began comprehending the heavenly mistblade. When a person's spirit focuses, time passes quickly. The 6th year, while cultivating, you suddenly opened your eyes. Although you opened your eyes with great momentum, it didn't help much. You still hadn't fully comprehended the life and death slash. Fortunately, you made great progress. You estimated that in about half a year, you would completely understand and fuse the heavenly mist blade's earth source. Your rapid progress was mainly because you had already fused the earth source of dry metal affinity, so like attracts like. Secondly, you were naturally adept at blade techniques, so comprehending the blade art felt effortless. After a year of cultivation, you needed to balance work and rest. Otherwise, mental fatigue would slow your comprehension speed. You went to the Danxia sect. You wanted to see who won between Xie Huida and Hu Zhongshuan. You hadn't been keeping up with the gossip for over a year and desperately needed updates. Also, during the last simulation year, Jiao Mingxiu and Bai Chun had joined Xie Huida's discipleship. You planned to meet these two unfamiliar brothers as well. You quickly arrived at the Danxia sect. Now that you entered Danxia sect, the guards at the gate no longer stopped you. They all knew you were the savior of the sect leader's sister and the love remedy for the seventh elder. With great anticipation, you went to Xie Huida's courtyard, but unfortunately, you only saw Xie Huida and Deng Wanshu. Hu Zhongshuan was nowhere to be found. What was even more disappointing was that Xie Huida had neither lost an arm nor a leg, nor did his face show any signs of battle scars. In the courtyard, Xie Huida and Deng Wanshu were personally chatting. As they chatted, they couldn't help but lean in to kiss, and then suddenly saw you walk in. You swaggered over and sat opposite them, smiling and saying, "Why are only you two here? Isn't old who's supervising you?" Xie Huida glared and said, "Brother he, what kind of words are those? Wanshu and I are perfectly innocent. What supervision does he need to do?" You smirked and replied, "Innocent now, maybe. Who can guarantee you won't be kissing and breaking apart later?" Xie Huida suddenly got angry and scolded, "Brother he, the more you say such things, the more I like hearing it. Old Xie, you're really something, taking the chance to enjoy yourself like this." You then turned to Deng Wanshu and asked, "Sister Wanshu, where did old Hu go?" Deng Wanshu smiled brightly, her voice lively. "Third brother went back to Yajianku." You frowned slightly and asked, "Why is old Hu rushing to Yajianku to risk his life again?" But the two of them didn't answer, falling into silence. Logically, since Deng Wanshu had already woken up, Hu Zhongshuan shouldn't need to stay at Yajianku to earn merits for Earth Source. So why'd he go back now? You glanced at the somewhat quiet Xie Huida and Deng Wanshu, suddenly realizing, old Hu must be trying to make way for the two of them. This was definitely something Hu Zhongshuan would do. After all, last time during the simulation to obtain Earth Source, he had done something similar. As long as Deng Wanshu could be happy, Hu Zhongshuan would rather stay under a car for a lifetime. Xie Huida and Deng Wanshu obviously understood Hu Zhongshuan's meaning behind this move, naturally realizing how painful this choice was for him. Although Xie Huida and Hu Zhongshuan were rivals over Deng Wanshu, besides that, they had been the closest sworn brothers since childhood, the only difference being they were not born from the same mother. A Nigerian Naira Thailand body, yes. Regarding Hu Zhongshuan's pain, Xie Huida also felt uncomfortable and had no intention to take advantage of the situation. So, for now, even if Hu Zhongshuan seemed to be partially withdrawing, the entanglement between these three would not settle so easily. As for Deng Wanshu herself, there was no perfect solution. If she really made a choice, she would inevitably hurt the other person. You can't really say you take odd days, I take even days, and let Deng Wanshu rest on Sundays. This matter was just that twisted and complicated. That was why when Xie Huida and Deng Wanshu talked about this topic, their moods were heavy and they both fell silent. Seeing the atmosphere grow heavy, you could only forcibly lighten the mood by teasing their relationship. While I think old Hu and old Xie, one handling outside affairs, the other inside, letting Sister Wanshu be your overall girlfriend sounds pretty good. The two of them looked at you in surprise, not knowing what nonsense you were babbling about. You had intended to break the deadlock, but only made it worse. Luckily, Deng Rusong arrived just then. Even before entering the courtyard, Deng Rusong loudly called out, "Wanshu, Huida, I've already sent a letter to Jishua. This month, huh? Young master, he is here too." Deng Rusong noticed your slight surprise. You also heard a familiar name, Yin Jishue. You recalled that at this point in time, Deng Rusong and Yin Jishue had not yet gotten involved with each other. So how was it that now Deng Rusong was already sending letters to express affection and arranging to spend the month together to have a big fat son named Deng Xiaosong and a big fat daughter named Deng Xiaoxue who would grow up and leave, and they would each go their separate ways? He wrote letters, she didn't reply. Just like that, you forcibly suppressed the melody playing in your heart from bursting out. You asked, sect leader Deng, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but it sounds like you wrote a letter to a woman. Deng Rusong did not hide it and said solemnly, Young master I inadvertently offended an ultimate grandmaster before, and now I am asking the extermination sect's leader Yin for help to make a connection. I want to personally go apologize. You frowned and asked, which ultimate grandmaster did you offend? The Palace of 10,000 Dreams sect leader, Shangguan Gosheng. You raised an eyebrow. What a coincidence. You also had an alternate identity as Palace of 10,000 Dreams sect leader Shangguan Gosheng. Exactly the same without a single difference. Sect leader Deng, how did you offend him? I have some friendship with brother Shangguan. Maybe I can help a little. Deng Rusong was shocked. Young master do you really mean that? Of course. Actually, brother Shangguan and I are like brothers, as close as twins. Deng Rusong and the others looked at you in astonishment, never imagining you had connections to such a high-level ultimate grandmaster. Your family background was becoming more and more unfathomable. Deng Rusong's expression brightened as he hurriedly explained the situation to you. It turned out that last time you used the Shangguan Gosheng identity to come test the new opera masks, Deng Rusong had secretly grumbled about you a bit, but since you had compensated with pills, he hadn't minded. However, recent rumors said Shangguan Gosheng's power was absolutely supreme, ranking in the top 3 among all ultimate grandmasters. Moreover, Shangguan Gosheng was arrogant and petty, like snatching the Emberhawk raised by Kong Ling for years in the beast-taming sect without asking. Even the monk Mingjue once got slashed by him without saying a word. All these rumors made Deng Rusong very worried, so he hurriedly sent a letter to the Palace of 10,000 Dreams to apologize again. But since you hadn't been at the palace for months, naturally, there was no reply. Deng Rusong grew even more fearful, thinking Shangguan Gosheng refused his apology, so he began seeking other ultimate grandmasters' connections to contact you. But since you weren't at the palace, no matter who Deng Rusong contacted, it was useless. He assumed the people he reached out to lacked enough influence, so he decided to find Yin Jishue, a powerful top ultimate grandmaster, to deliver the letter and see if he could get in touch with Shangguan Gosheng. Deng Rusong believed this was just business and didn't break his promise to his father. But you knew this might become the beginning of Deng Rusong and Yin Jishue rekindling their relationship. After all, two people who already secretly admired each other, now forced into frequent official contact. Who knew which 5-star they might end up in? In other words, because of your Shangguan Gosheng identity, Deng Rusong and Yin Jishue might get involved even earlier than last time during the simulation. You decided that if Yin Jishue started frequenting Danxia's sect, you would also come by often, just in case Yin Jishue had a cold, beautiful, and somewhat adorable female disciple. After Deng Rusong finished telling you all this, you wave your hand. Sect leader Deng, it's all trivial. Let me write a letter, and you can take my calligraphy to the Palace of 10,000 Dreams to explain the situation. Xiaohueda turned around and brought out ink and brush for you. You took the brush, and with vigorous strokes, you splashed ink and sweated as you wrote several crooked big characters. Danxia sect, I've got your back, got it? Deng Rusong saw these scrawled words that looked like they were written by some mongrels and immediately put on a pained expression. Young master aren't the words in this letter a bit too arrogant? You wave your hand. No worries. Brother Shangguan will feel as if I'm right there. You just need to go and let him be. No, just let him listen to your explanation calmly. Deng Rusong was still uneasy. After repeated requests, you rewrote the letter. This time, the tone was much more tactful, transforming you from the social he you into a socialist he you. Deng Rusong finally relaxed, but when he looked at your wildly scribbled handwriting, he still couldn't help but frown, though he didn't say anything. Deng Wanshu sensed Deng Rusong's thoughts and quickly spoke up. Brother your handwriting really has a unique style, very childlike and playful. You happily said, Sister Wanshu, you also understand the art of calligraphy? Deng Wanshu's voice was light and pleasant. I've learned a bit, but none of it compares to Brother He's free-spirited and unrestrained style. You opened your mouth slightly, eyes darting cleverly. What do you mean? Deng Rusong clicked his tongue and said, Nothing much, just complimenting you. Oh, then that's fine. Deng Rusong took the letter and was about to head to the Palace of 10,000 Dreams. You told him that Shangguan Goshing wouldn't return to the palace for another 2 months, so Deng Rusong need not rush. Deng Rusong then tucked the letter close to his body. You looked at him, a smirk tugging at your lips as you deliberately said, Sect Leader Deng, with this letter from me, you won't have to call Leader Yin over, right? Deng Rusong wanted to ask how you knew Yin Jishue, but thinking about your connections with Shangguan Goshing, it wasn't surprising you knew Yin Jishue. Deng Rusong righteously replied, The letter has already been sent. How could it be recalled? You said, I know the messenger hasn't left yet. It's still possible to intercept it. It's too late. It's not too late. Really too late. I'll go chase after him. Stay right there. Deng Rusong firmly pressed you back down into your seat, forcing a dry laugh. Young master the journey is long. Don't trouble yourself. Not far, not far. I know it's just a mountain mile. I can be back before this cup of tea cools. Seeing you were a bit stubborn, Deng Rusong simply turned and left. You guys talk. I'll send the messenger off. After Deng Rusong left, Xiehueda and Deng Wanshu exchanged a smile, both finding Deng Rusong's feigned reluctance quite amusing. You, meanwhile, thought in your heart, if Yin Jishue really came, you wondered whether your good friend would come along. But honestly, you didn't care whether your friend showed up or not. You never even considered it. Really, trust yourself on that. You then chatted casually with Xiehueda and Deng Wanshu for a while. Just as you were about to leave, 2 people walked into Xiehueda's courtyard. You immediately smiled upon recognizing them. The arrivals were none other than Jiao Mingxiu, honest and straightforward, buying the ticket after boarding, and Bai Chun, eating meat every day without gaining weight and maintaining strong health despite frequent visits to brothels. The 2 top dogs strode directly up to Xiehueda. Master, Aunt Deng. Xiehueda nodded. Have you finished today's practice? Jiao and Bai carefully reported their progress in refining pills. Xiehueda calmly gave them some guidance. Then Xiehueda introduced you to them. By the way, this is you, my sworn brother. You all call him Uncle Master. Bai Chun and Jiao Mingxiu looked over curiously. Looking at your youthful appearance, confusion filled their eyes. Uncle Master? Jiao Mingxiu was a bit more at ease since he was 6 years younger than you. But Bai Chun was less willing to accept it. At 42, he was 21 years your senior, and calling you Uncle Master felt unnatural. You wore a kind expression and flipped your hand, pulling out a thick red envelope you had prepared. Here, Uncle Master gives you 2 young ones a meeting gift. Bai Chun immediately knelt down with a thud to accept the red envelope. Thank you, little Uncle Master. Jiao Mingxiu followed suit, kowtowing twice. Get up, you 2 good kids. You turned to Xiehueda. Young people these days really are young. Bai Chun said, Yeah, little Uncle Master is right. Happy to see these 2 familiar faces, you invited them to visit your residence whenever they had time. They eagerly agreed, seeing the sky darken, and with Xiehueda and Deng Wanshu showing no intention to keep you for dinner, you returned to your mansion. The next day, you went to the zoo. You moved half of the animals from the zoo to a new branch park deep within the Qianming mountain range. This new branch was far from the beast-taming sect's territory. You settled all the transported animals in the branch park, then captured a large number of native wild beasts from Qianming mountain range as a control group. Then you brought the mad scientist Dong Jijia to the zoo branch and instructed him carefully to cultivate the beasts using the beast-taming sect's secret beast-taming manual. Dong Jijia laughed maniacally with excitement, because he had countless new experimental subjects. Moreover, he was alone in the remote mountains without anyone to disturb him. He could do whatever he pleased. From now on, only his dream of creating the ultimate creature would accompany him. You told Dong Jijia that you didn't care what schemes he came up with, but he must complete the tasks you assigned. Dong Jijia beat his chest loudly, making the most solemn promise of his life to you. You left Qianming Mountain Range and went to the Palace of 10,000 Dreams. You told Sang Yi to recruit some disciples properly. Otherwise, the sect would feel a bit deserted. A month passed after all arrangements were settled. One more month remained before Deng Rusong's visit. You stayed in the palace, continuing to comprehend the earth source of the heavenly mist blade. Unexpectedly, during your comprehension, a sudden flash of insight reminded you of a crucial point about the third Nua opera mask. You immediately shifted focus to the Nua opera mask comprehension. Only 10 days later, you successfully completed the understanding of the third Nua opera mask. At this moment, in the cultivation chamber, you sat cross-legged with a calm expression. The intangible, formless, swirling energy patterns of heaven and earth began to materialize, like alert, transparent little fish swimming in the air. Whenever these energy strands touched your body, they were immediately repelled and then influenced the surrounding energies. Other expert grandmasters with positive yin affinity specialized in deducing people or events by capturing the slightest changes in these tiny energy strands. At that moment, your heart stirred, and the third Nua opera mask began spreading from your face, flowing over your entire body like water. Although you remained in place, you gave off the illusion of gradually disappearing, like an assassin vanishing into the night. The moving energy strands touched your body again. This time, they didn't bounce away but passed straight through you as if you didn't exist. You no longer disturbed the flow of energy. You became undetectable to deduction, your stealth attribute maxed out. With this, you officially comprehended all three Nua opera masks. The Nua opera mask, ranked 5th in positive yin affinity, became fusion compatible. You were eager to try fusion, but you knew that once fused, the earth source would dissipate and you would lose the 3 special traits of the Nua opera mask. Comprehending the earth source was mentally exhausting, but this process advanced your refinement of the mind evolution art. What was once a vague mind evolution art was now categorized into 3 stages or layers. You had completed the first layer and were on the verge of breaking through to the second. You sensed that breaking into the second layer would also break through your grade 9 pill refining technique. But your top priority remained comprehending the earth source of the heavenly mist blade. So you pressed on, immersing yourself again in the life or death strikes comprehension. 16 days later, Sang Yi arrived outside your door and lightly knocked. Knock, knock, knock. Palace Lord, 2 people request to see you, saying they were introduced by your brother Hiyu. Your sharp black eyes slowly opened, knowing it must be Deng Rusong. But a flicker of doubt crossed your eyes. 2 people? Could Xie Hueda have come along? What kind of people? You asked. Sang Yi immediately replied, 1 man and 1 woman. The man is richly dressed, serious and steady. The woman wears a black dress, calm and gentle. Your expression brightened. Why did this couple come together? You said to Sang, invite them into the main hall. Yes, sect leader. Also, today we received a secret letter sent by Elder Qi Xian of the Pure Yang sect. A glint appeared in your eyes. You knew there was news about the Earth Source excavation again. Bring it in. Sang Yi pushed open the door and respectfully handed the letter to you. You waved your hand, and Sang Yi wisely exited the room to welcome Deng Rusong and Yanji Xue. You opened the letter and read through it. Sure enough, it was news sent by Qi Xian about the Earth Source. The letter stated that this Earth Source would appear in 4 months, and it would be in the East Sea, but not near the Earth Source from last time with the heavenly mist blade. Instead, it would be in a more eastern sea region. You calculated the timing and decided to head there half a month earlier than scheduled. Your hand trembled slightly, and the letter turned to dust, drifting away with the wind. You stood up and headed toward the main hall, but deliberately walked slowly. This way, your imposing presence as an ultimate grandmaster would be more fitting to your persona. Before long, you strode into the main hall. Deng Rusong and Yin Jishue were seated in the upper left position inside the hall, chatting. On the surface, both remained restrained and courteous, treating each other with respect. But inside, their emotions surged turbulently. As soon as you entered, Deng Rusong recognized you at a glance and quickly stood to greet you. Sect leader Shangwan, long time no see. Yin Jishue was still dressed in black, exuding a gentle aura like a beautiful and intellectual noblewoman. She followed Deng Rusong over, but wore a barely noticeable look of vigilance. Deng sect leader, long time no see. You laughed heartily. You glanced at Yin Jishue and said, "So this is Lady Ling. You two really are like wolves and tigers. No, a perfect match, looking absolutely compatible." Deng Rusong's mouth stretched wide as he explained, "Sect leader Shangwan, you have excellent taste, but there's a misunderstanding. This is sect leader Yin of the extermination sect." You suddenly realized and laughed boldly. "So it's sect leader Yin? I've heard about you for a long time. Seeing you today, you truly are impressive." Deng Rusong handed you a letter he was given. "Sect leader Shangwan, this is a letter from Hiyu, young master he, who asked me to pass it to you. Since this letter is from that brat Hiyu, I have to read it." Deng Rusong was secretly surprised. He hadn't expected that mentioning Hiyu's name to you would be so effective here with Shangwan Goshing. You took the letter, opened it casually, and glanced over it with full appreciation in your eyes. In terms of calligraphy, that kid is still top-notch." Deng Rusong twitched his eyelids, now understanding why your handwriting was so ugly, yet you remained so confident. It was all because people blindly praised you. Hey, at the same time, Deng Rusong couldn't help but speculate about your relationship with Shangwan Goshing. In Deng Rusong's view, since you could even produce the reviving Yang pill, your family must be mysterious and powerful and skilled in pill refining. There must be ultimate grandmasters in your clan, and their strength would definitely be considerable. Deng Rusong also learned from Yin Jishue that Shangwan Goshing was generous, distributing pills everywhere, so he might be a high-level pill refiner. Moreover, Shangwan Goshing's attitude was overly flattering toward your calligraphy art. Thus, Shangwan Goshing was probably not just your so-called good buddy. He should be a close elder relative in your clan, perhaps a direct ancestor like a grandfather or great-grandfather. After this thought, Deng Rusong roughly understood why Shangwan Goshing had deliberately come to cause trouble at the Dansha sect last time. Deng Rusong believed this was him personally investigating the actual situation of your surrounding forces to ensure no danger would come to you. After connecting these unrelated events, Deng Rusong nodded to himself, feeling quite clever. Deng Rusong shamelessly agreed. Young master, his calligraphy truly flows freely with lively charm, possessing a unique elegance. Your expression brightened, and you said excitedly, "Sect leader Deng, you have a pair of discerning eyes." Yin Jishue glanced at Deng Rusong, then at you. She thought, what kind of calligraphy could make you so excited? She wanted to meet that young master and see his calligraphy art to broaden her horizons. Deng Rusong turned to fetch a large box he had placed by his feet, intending to apologize for the last incident. Although Deng Rusong thought you were not as arrogant and domineering as rumored, ultimate grandmasters were unpredictable, so it was best to be cautious. In fact, to be safe this time, Yin Jishue had accompanied him. Deng Rusong opened the box, revealing various pills and precious pill refining materials. Sect leader Shangwan, I apologize for the trouble last time. This is a small token from our Danxia sect. You waved your hand indifferently. Sect leader Deng, keep it. I heard from that brat Hiyu that his family has a deep connection with your Danxia sect. Since there's such a bond. Oh, there are even 8th grade pills? You casually noticed that there were quite a few high-level 8th grade pills in the box. Refining these pills yourself would be time-consuming and laborious. So you added, Sect leader Deng, forget the few words before the first comma, just now. Can you give me those round pills in your box? Deng Rusong took out the 8th grade pills separately. Sect Leader Shangwan, these are meant for you. You laughed heartily, accepting the few bottles of 8th grade pills. Sect Leader Deng, you're so righteous. Deng Rusong finally relaxed quite a bit, but Yin Jishue's eyes still flickered with faint vigilance. Having led the extermination sect for so many years, she had seen too many madmen and lunatics. Cases of sudden bursts of violence following moments of laughter were endless. You paid no mind to Yin Jishua's caution and instead turned to ask, Sect Leader Yin, did you come alone? Yin Jishua's smile was full of affinity, her voice smooth and magnetic. Sect Leader Shangwan, do you think I could hide someone else on me? You persistently asked, when you left the extermination sect, didn't you bring an adult woman along? Yin Jishua hesitated slightly. Now that you mention it, I did bring our saintess Wan Qingwan. Yin Jishua, but we parted ways midway. Yin Jishua, but then we met again. Yin Jishua, but then we parted ways again. Are you messing with an idiot? Yin Jishua's red lips curled slightly as she smiled. Sect Leader Shangwan, why are you so concerned about our saintess? You laughed heartily. Just casually asking. Yin Jishua looked at you, her eyes thoughtful. At this moment, Deng Rusong's eyes showed a flash of realization. He guessed you were an elder in Hiyu's family. Suddenly, Deng Rusong had a bright idea and said, Sect Leader Shangwan, do you want young Master He and Heroine Wan to have more contact? You suddenly looked at Deng Rusong, your eyes filled with admiration. At this moment, you felt Deng Rusong was more understanding and humane than ever before. You laughed heartily. Sect Leader Deng, your proposal is quite interesting. Deng Rusong absent-mindedly scratched the spot you found agreeable, and he was very pleased. What Deng Rusong was thinking was that as long as Hiyu, and Wan Qingwan interacted more, he himself could also get in touch with Yin Jishua conveniently. What a delight. Besides, the family behind you, Hiyu, was quite mysterious and powerful, matching Wan Qingwan very well in terms of status and identity. Deng Rusong smiled and said, Heroine Wan is exceptionally gifted and stunningly beautiful. Young Master, he is also a fine man. They are indeed a good match. Yin Jishua wore a lazy smile on her face. Matters of love, I have always taught freedom. Follow your heart. After speaking, Yin Jishua glanced at Deng Rusong. Deng Rusong knew this was a hint directed at him, so he raised his head and his gaze darted around awkwardly. You chuckled. Young people should meet more, make friends and all that. More friends, more paths. The couple, Deng Rusong and Yin Jishua, also agreed with this reasoning. Deng Rusong said, Heroine Wan is currently staying briefly at Dansha sect. After Yin Jishua and I return, we can introduce the two of you. You glanced at Deng Rusong, mentally awarding him the title of best support for today. At the same time, you planned to give him a tangible reward. You said, as far as I know, Sect Leader Deng, you are an 8th grade pill refiner? Master Palace Leader Shangwan is correct, Deng Rusong nodded. But he knew you wouldn't ask without reason. So he asked, what does the Palace Leader mean? You paused for a moment. Actually, I'm also an 8th grade pill refiner. Deng Rusong was shocked. He had never known that Great Qian had an ultimate grandmaster who was an 8th grade pill refiner. Moreover, you were an unparalleled ultimate grandmaster. This fact was simply absurd. Deng Rusong stared at you in a daze. He couldn't imagine how someone could possess top-tier martial talent and pill refining talent simultaneously. Yin Jishua also looked at you with astonishment. She understood how difficult it was to achieve both accomplishments at the same time. Seeing their shocked gazes, you laughed. No need to value this too highly emotionally. I'm not saying this to show off. Deng Rusong realized you might want to say something related to him. So he hurriedly asked, what does the Palace Leader mean? Your expression was confident. I'm confident I can become a 9th grade pill refiner and what? Deng Rusong lost composure slightly. You looked at him solemnly. And I can give Sect Leader Deng the chance to become a 9th grade pill refiner as well. Impossible, Deng Rusong exclaimed. If the palace leader is an 8th grade pill refiner, then you must know about divine microvision. Of course, I know divine microvision, and I also know that sect leader Dang has been stuck at 8th grade precisely because he lacks the divine microvision talent. With the cute Nigerian Ira. Palace. Palace leader. What are you trying to say? Dang Rusong's voice trembled. You said no more, instead reaching into your crotch and pulling out the Mind Evolution Art Manual. You slowly handed it to Dang Rusong, your voice low but clear. Dang Rusong seemed to hear the music of the heavens. This is the Mind Evolution Art. It can grant sect leader Dang the ability of divine microvision. Dang Rusong's breathing suddenly grew rapid. Your words struck the deepest place of his unwillingness and regret. Dang Rusong considered himself not inferior to anyone in his life, but was unable to reach 9th grade because he lacked the divine microvision talent. This innate disadvantage beyond his control made him very resentful. Now hearing you say you could solve this problem, how could he not be excited? Dang Rusong looked at you incredulously. Why give it to me? You wanted to say it was because he supported you well, but at the last moment, you changed your words. This is to thank sect leader Dang for taking care of you all these years. Well, it's not like I took care of him that much. Dang Rusong hesitated, not daring to accept readily. You directly handed him the Mind Evolution Art. If you're going to take it, just take it. No need to say more. Dang Rusong was extremely excited and started flipping through it immediately. After reading just a few pages, Dang Rusong became even more thrilled. He confirmed on the spot that the Mind Evolution Art was exactly what he had dreamed of for years. Dang Rusong looked at you with excitement, then at the Mind Evolution Art, deeply shocked. You had solved a century-old great problem. The reason you could create the Mind Evolution Art was that your own divine microvision was acquired after birth. This let you understand the process from 0 to 1. See how Ada's notes helped you solve the problem from 1 to 10. Combined with the continuous refinement of the 9 condensation's profound skill, your already perfected divine microvision was further enhanced, allowing you to reach a higher level. Thus, you were able to create the Mind Evolution Art with a commanding perspective. After opening the Mind Evolution Art, Dang Rusong immediately devoted himself wholeheartedly. He seemed like a lost traveler in the desert, parched for many days, who had just found a clear spring, drinking nectar. Dang Rusong absorbed the knowledge points in the Mind Evolution Art ravenously. Now he even felt that Yanji Shue beside him was temporarily less appealing. Seeing Dang Rusong's state, you told Yanji Shue to take him back to Dansha sect. You also reminded Yanji Shue to keep a close eye on the obsessed Dang Rusong, so that no carts would hit him on the road. Just after sending off the couple, a guest arrived at your palace of 10,000 dreams. Kong Ling from the beast-taming sect. Saying he brought Kong Ling into the main hall. Kong Ling had come to take home his 3 precious beasts. At the same time, Kong Ling also brought the 5 sea swallows. The 5 originally small sea swallows had all been enlarged proportionally, reaching 2 to 3 times their original size. Their physiques were also strengthened, but not by much. This degree of enhancement you could also achieve with blood essence pills. You knew the problem was that the breeding time was too short to verify whether the beast-taming sex boundary was an issue. You told Kong Ling to take them back and raise them for another 2 years. Kong Ling's face darkened. He had come to exchange hostages today, but you refused to release the birds, making him desperately upset. Brother Shangwan, we agreed on 1 year to return the Emberhawks to me. Brother Kong misunderstood my intentions. Of course, I will return them to Brother Kong. You told Sang to bring the Emberhawks over. Kong Ling's face brightened. Thank you very much, Brother Shangwan. Sang quickly brought the Emberhawks. Kong Ling smiled and looked over, but his face immediately stiffened. Brother Shangwan, why is there only one? You laughed. Brother Kong, help me raise them for 1 year, and I'll return 1 to you in installments. After another 2 years, I will repay all of them. Well, okay then. What else could Kong Ling do? He was powerless. Kong Ling was about to leave with a single Emberhawk when he felt the bird seemed mentally unwell. Brother Shangwan, I feel like This is a normal problem. Young creatures are shy. Bring it home and raise it for a couple of days, and it will be fine. Kong Ling gave you a resentful look. I haven't even said what the problem is. There's no problem that a warm home can't heal. Hurry and take your big bird back. Kong Ling had no choice but to leave. What could Kong Ling do? He was helpless. After sending Kong Ling off, you immediately took off and flew back to Yutong County. Of course, you flew so fast not because you heard your best friend in the world was at Dansha sect. You just wanted to see if the pomegranate flowers on Dansha Mountain had bloomed yet. You sped all the way back to Yutong County. Because you deliberately avoided Yin Jishue's flight path, you didn't run into Yin Jishue and Deng Rusong, who had set off earlier than you. You returned to the manor. Old Wang, beaming with a full spirit, walked straight up to you. Young master. You didn't stop walking. Old Wang, say it if there's something. If not, shut up. Then there's nothing. Old Wang put away his smile and brushed past you. You went back to your bedroom, took out the treasured bronze mirror you had kept for years, and began to paste flower yellow makeup in front of it. You combed your hair into a mature style and put on a handsome suit. Just as you finished dressing up, Old Wang gently knocked on the door. Young master, speak. There's a guest requesting to see you. No meeting. She's a beautiful female guest. Send her in. All right. Old Wang turned and went to the door to greet her. You were slightly puzzled. A woman? It must be Sister Wan Shu, or maybe He Ying Chun, or perhaps Widow Zhang next door. You calmly walked out of the room and went to the main hall. You quickly ran to the main hall. Yin Jishue was sitting there, quietly sipping tea with a serene expression. You immediately pretended not to recognize her. Sister, who are you looking for? Your form of address made Yin Jishue smile softly. She put down her teacup and asked, You're Hiyu, young master He, right? Yes, sister. Yin Jishue's smile was gentle as she stood up. Sect leader Deng has been immersed in cultivation and hasn't come yet. I'm here on his behalf to thank you, because it was your recommendation that made the palace leader Shangwan grant sect leader Deng the mind evolution art. Sister, are you thanking me empty-handed? Yin Jishue smiled gracefully. Isn't this enough? You said it's a bit lacking. Yin Jishue was about to respond when a cheerful voice sounded behind you. Leader, I'm here. That familiar voice made the corner of your mouth lift, your eyes brightening slightly. You turned and saw Wan Qingwan in a pure white long dress, a faint smile playing on her cold and exquisite face. Her steps were light and elegant, like a deer in the forest. As you turned, she cast her gaze at you. Seeing you silent, she tilted her head slightly and said on her own initiative, Hello, my name is Wan Qingwan. Hello. Wan Qingwan paused, seemingly waiting for your next sentence, but it never came. Her small nose wrinkled. You're rude. You should say your name too. My surname is Good, and I'm called Friend. Good friend. Yes. Your name is Strange. That's my nickname. My full name is Hiyu. Which name should I call you from now on? Either one, I'll respond. Hiyu, I'm here. Good friend. Here. Little classmate. I'm here. Wan Qingwan laughed happily. She thought you were quite amusing, like a fool. Yin Jishue watched you too with a kind smile, as if seeing her younger self and Deng Rusong. Feeling joyful, you said to Wan Qingwan and Yin Jishue, both of you are visiting my manor for the first time. Tonight, I prepared some simple wine. Would you honor me with your presence? Yin Jishue smiled and said, Young master, He's gracious invitation. How could we refuse? Wan Qingwan thought that the leader's reputation was huge. Wherever she went, people invited her to eat. At night, the three of you ate, drank, and chatted, relaxed and happy. During this time, you told Yin Jishue to tell Deng Rusong not to reveal your relationship with Shangwan Goxing to outsiders, because you prefer to keep a low profile. Yin Jishue naturally agreed. You specifically mentioned this because you knew the name Shangwan Goxing would definitely make many enemies, and you didn't want to implicate others. Soon, you were full of food and drink, all of you talking smoothly and lively. Yin Jishue was about to leave with Wan Qingwan to return to the extermination sect. You warmly urged, Leader Yin, it's so late, don't drive through the night. Yin Jishue smiled teasingly. Young master, night and day make no difference to me. In that case, Leader Yin, you walk alone then. Yin Jishue. You looked at Wan Qingwan. Qingwan, you don't have to go. I've prepared a double bed for you. Wan Qingwan, that feels a bit weird. Yin Jishue smiled lightly. Young master, we're leaving. No need to see us off. Yin Jishue led Wan Qingwan directly into the starry night sky. You made a last effort to persuade them. Leader Yin, no drinking while driving. Wan Qingwan waved enthusiastically at you with a bright smile. I'll come find you again to play, good friend. You stood still for a moment, watching the direction they disappeared, then returned to your room. Old Wang and the servants were cleaning up the aftermath. He looked at your back and muttered, the double bed was wasted. The next day, you got up early. You went to the zoo. Using the Beast Taming Manual, the animals you had raised for a year had many physical improvements. But like those 5 sea swallows, there was no essential change. This result was expected. You planned to observe for a few more years. You extracted vital blood from 186 types of beasts. These beasts from which you extracted the vital blood were the batch raised with blood essence pills. You wouldn't fuse with beasts raised by the Beast Taming Manual for now. Only with a reliable blood source can one drink with peace of mind. You refined the vital blood from all 186 species in an instant. But it was useless. Your Guarding Gate body technique was still at the early marrow washing stage, with no breakthroughs. Frowning in the training room, you recalled how 3 drops of blood from 3 Emberhawks broke through 3 minor realms in succession. The beast blood you raised was truly useless. Your eyes flickered. You realized that just feeding the animals well wasn't enough. The quality of vital blood would never meet the standard. You planned to select the strongest few for focused training. The selection method was the most primitive. Let them fight. Just like raising goo worms, cultivate the strongest goo king. Only the strongest little beasts deserve to be absorbed by me. But you didn't want to set up an arena now. Your most important task was to increase your strength. In 4 months, you were determined to claim the Earth Source in the EC. You dove headfirst into the training room and began to focus on comprehending the Heavenly Mistblade. You had a strong premonition that this time's insight would definitely bear fruit. Time flew with the turning of the sun and moon. In the blink of an eye, 2 months later. That day, Old Wang was leading the servants in morning exercise in the courtyard. Suddenly, a violent fluctuation erupted in your training room. The training room door was instantly shattered into fragments. Looking through the empty doorframe, you sat cross-legged calmly, a terrifyingly fierce fluctuation radiating from your body. Your eyes slowly opened. Within the cold, dark pupils, infinite starlight seemed to swirl, captivating the soul. Old Wang was so frightened he ran over, leaning against the doorframe, panting heavily. Young master, are you all right? You twisted your mouth into a smile. Your voice was uncontrollably excited. I'm fine. I'm great. I've never been better. That's good, that's good. Old Wang, although confused, still agreed. You suddenly looked at Old Wang, your tone arrogant and mad. Old Wang, from now on, just call me the best in the world. Old Wang's face turned pale, but he didn't dare provoke you further. Young master, as long as you're happy. You stood up and swaggered out of the manor. Even after your figure disappeared, Old Wang still looked deeply worried. This is over. The manor will definitely have to invite an expert. At this moment, you had already shot up into the sky, flying straight toward the EC. The Earth Source would not appear for another 2 months, and it would only take you 1 month to get there. But last time, arriving a few days early almost made you miss the Earth Source. So you are much more cautious now. After all, caution steers the ship for 10,000 years. 1,000 years of cultivation leads to sharing a pillow. You had completely mastered the life and death slash and successfully fused the Heavenly Mistblade's Earth Source. You became Great Qian's first genuine extreme path warrior to fuse 2 Earth Sources properly. Lian Long didn't count. Because in the previous simulation, Lian Long retained part of Hu Zhongshuan's consciousness after fusing with him. Moreover, The transformation Hu Zhongshuan's Earth Source gave Lian Long was not as thorough as your authentic fusion of two Earth sources. Lian Long could only be considered to have half a foot stepping into a new realm. Even so, Lian Long's strength was enough to contend against dozens of extreme path grandmasters without falling behind. As for you, a proper second stage extreme path warrior, claiming to be the best under heaven was not a bit unreasonable. Who would have thought that a mere dragon transformation warrior like you dare to shout you were #1 in the world? You planned to go to the capital after obtaining the East Sea's Earth Source this time to find Lian Long. You wanted to ask him why he had cut you in two. You wanted to ask why he ate people. He didn't eat the living, only your acquaintances. But you could already imagine that a cunning man like Lian Long would definitely deny knowing what you were talking about. You would never believe such a sneaky man's words. If he dared to argue, he wouldn't have a good end. If he admitted it, he would get what was coming to him. You thought yourself kind-hearted, a truly upright person struck by heaven's thunder. You flew smoothly without obstruction. In the past, traveling by horse, you would encounter road bandits and thugs who would delay you by several seconds. Now it was different. With better living conditions, you flew directly through the sky, much faster. Along the way, you encountered other extreme path grandmasters on flight paths, but since they didn't recognize you, none came to fly alongside you. You ignored them as well. They still didn't know who you were. But if they dared to compete with you for the Earth Source, you would make sure they would never forget who you were. You flew at full speed for more than 20 days, almost a month. That day, you finally arrived at your destination, Sea Snake Island. Sea Snake Island was a nameless little island. Its area was as large as a small island. You suddenly stopped above Sea Snake Island, arriving quite early. But there were already 3 extreme path grandmasters hovering above the island, and they were together. Nigerian Ariotolan bought Epsilon. With a casual glance, you even spotted a familiar face, Master Mingjue. The moment Master Mingjue saw you, his expression darkened. If he were alone, he would definitely have turned and fled, but now there were 3 of them, so Mingjue was somewhat unwilling. Although rumors in the community rank your combat strength among the top 3 of the Supreme Extreme Path Grandmasters, the source of this rumor was actually Mingjue himself, who casually spread the news. He didn't truly understand your real strength. You smiled slyly at Mingjue. Come over. You knew Mingjue had come again to find Earth Source to refine, delay, aging pills for his concubine. But he hadn't checked the almanac before leaving, and unfortunately, he ran into you. Mingjue was unlucky, but it had to be said he was indeed a big romantic at heart. Mingjue and the other 2 exchanged a glance and shook their heads slightly, signaling not to act rashly. Mingjue came beside you, rubbed his shiny bald head, and smiled. Ba, Palace Leader Shangwan, are you here to cruise the seas too? You feigned surprise. Oh, Master Mingjue, you recognize me this time? Ha ha ha. Last time was all a misunderstanding. I've long heard of the Palace of 10,000 Dreams. Right? Yes. Then you 3 can leave. Mingjue was stunned, gritting his teeth. Palace Leader Shangwan, your strength is undoubtedly supreme, but you can't be so overbearing. You can't just tell us to leave with one word. At that moment, the other 2 also drifted over, giving Mingjue more confidence. You looked at the 3 and nodded. Indeed, telling you to leave with one word is improper. Mingjue's face brightened, thinking you had compromised. He felt that even facing 3 top extreme path grandmasters, you had no guaranteed victory. Master Mingjue thought learning from last time's lesson, bringing 2 more people was an extremely wise decision. Otherwise, he would be running away again. You leisurely spoke. One word is improper, but 1 slash is appropriate. Clang! A clear, sharp blade sound rang out. Mingjue and the other 2 immediately felt their massive energy signatures locked on and suddenly retreated violently. In an instant, they were more than 20 meters away. They exchanged horrified glances, knowing the near-death sensation was real. Luckily, they dodged in time. While still trembling with fear and relief, they simultaneously felt a sharp pain in their chests. Looking down, all three saw identical wounds penetrating their sternums in exactly the same place. The wounds paused for a second, as if reacting, then began to gush blood. Ah! All three shouted in alarm. The scene was too horrifying. Almost simultaneously, three identical wounds in position, length, and depth appeared on the chests of three top Extreme Path Grandmasters. It was simply terrifying. Mingjue and the others didn't even care about their injuries and looked at you in shock. At this moment, Mingjue was certain your strength could definitely rank among the top three Supreme Extreme Path Grandmasters, perhaps even number one. You smiled faintly. If you don't leave now, the next slash won't be to your chests. Originally desperate, Mingjue and the others felt as if they had been granted mercy. Thank you, Palace Leader, for your mercy. Leave quickly, Mingjue shouted loudly, and the three frantically flew toward the horizon, only wanting to escape the shadow of death as soon as possible. Just as Mingjue was about to disappear on the horizon, his resentful voice came from afar. Ba, Shangwan Goxing, Palace Leader Shangwan, I hope you find happiness. Mingjue stopped mid-sentence, feeling a prickly sensation like thorns on his back, hurriedly corrected himself, and saved his life. Now Mingjue had two lives. Shortly after Mingjue left, several waves of Extreme Path Grandmasters arrived intermittently. Some came alone, others came in groups. You ignored them for now, waiting until they were all gathered before chasing them all away. You silently thought, no matter who comes, none can stay. The only way to remain is to leave behind their own corpse. While you were thinking, a soft, full of smile voice came. Oh, Palace Leader Shangwan is here too? You looked toward the voice, your eyes brightening. Leader Yin, what a coincidence. Yin Jishue smiled as she flew over. Three others followed behind her, all Extreme Path Grandmasters of the Extermination Sect. You smiled broadly on your face, silently putting Yin Jishue on your white list of people allowed to stay. Palace Leader Shangwan, you must also be here for the Earth Source, Yin Jishue said with a smile. You laughed heartily. Leader Yin must be as well. So does that make us competitors? Yin Jishue's smile was subtle, but a faint glint flashed in her eyes. Exactly in Jishue's words made you pause for a moment. Although Earth Source was very important to you, Yin Jishue, as your good friend sect leader, would put you in a difficult position if she really tried to compete with you for the Earth Source. You frowned slightly and finally sighed inwardly, helplessly thinking, there's really nothing I can do about Leader Yin. I guess I have to break the rule and hit an elder for the first time. You looked at Yin Jishue and said, Leader Yin, don't cry too loudly later, okay? A trace of doubt appeared on Yin Jishue's lazily smiling face. Then she chuckled lightly. Palace Leader Shangwan, do you think the four of us are just ordinary ultimate grandmasters? The three people Yin Jishue brought today were the top 5 main forces of the Extermination Sect. With this combination plus Yin Jishue herself, even facing the absolute peak ultimate grandmasters, they would not be much weaker. You laughed heartily. Of course, Leader Yin isn't ordinary, but how do you know I'm just an ordinary ultimate grandmaster? Yin Jishue's eyes narrowed. She could feel your confidence and flamboyance. The 3 ultimate grandmasters behind, Yin Jishue also involuntarily glanced over. Their expressions were calm, but showed slight disdain. You grinned and stopped dwelling on this topic. Instead, you casually chatted with Yin Jishue. During your conversation, more than 10 ultimate grandmasters arrived one after another, eventually totaling 22 ultimate grandmasters. You realized at this time, either there were a lot of Earth sources or they ranked very high. During the last simulated year, you had no chance to access information at this level because you were a marrow washing stage elder. Therefore, you were unclear whether, aside from the Ajianku incident, many authentic Earth sources had also appeared this time on Sea Snake Island. You just hoped that the number of Earth sources appearing this time would be as many as possible. After these 22 ultimate grandmasters assembled, most of them recognized each other, but each stood their ground, with a vague sense of confrontation. Most of them looked at the four of Yin Jishue's group with strong caution in their eyes. The four of Yin Jishue remained calm and relaxed. As for you, who floated together with Yin Jishue's group but were relatively unfamiliar, you did not receive much attention. They assumed you were just an ultimate grandmaster from the extermination sect who happened to be free and was casually dragged along by Yin Jishue to fill numbers. A with ring above New Obeda. The 22 ultimate grandmasters remained silent in the heavy atmosphere for a moment. Soon, one ultimate grandmaster sighed helplessly, transforming into a streak of light and flying away. Following this person's admission of defeat, 5 more ultimate grandmasters flew away one after another, leaving 13, besides Yin Jishue's 4, still present. Seeing the timing was right, you cast a cold, indifferent glance around. Then you cleared your throat, preparing to stand up and drive away all 13. Ahem, before you could finish, Yin Jishue suddenly interrupted you. Her tone was gentle, but carried an inexplicable pressure. Everyone, are you staying because you think I'm easy to deal with? Everyone's hearts sank, their expressions turning grave as they looked at Yin Jishue. Not a single person cared whether you had spoken just now. What? You couldn't help but turn your head to Yin Jishue, surprised that such a great chance to show off had been snatched away. After a moment, a scholarly-looking man in the crowd stood up. He gritted his teeth and said, "Leader Yin, if there's more than one Earth source, does that mean the extermination sect wants to monopolize them all?" Yin Jishue smiled lightly and nodded. "Of course. You." The scholar was instantly at a loss for words. The other ultimate grandmasters' eyes also showed dissatisfaction. The scholar snorted coldly. "Leader Yin, leave some room for negotiation. If you push us too hard, the dozen of us joining forces won't make it easy for the 5 of you either." Yin Jishue gave a charming smile and said nothing further. She whipped her 9-section whip and charged straight forward. 3 ultimate grandmasters of the extermination sect immediately followed her. The dozen or so people instantly plunged into a lively battle, leaving you, the world's number 1, standing there at a loss. Ignored by everyone, you felt helpless like a child. You wanted to join the fight directly, but felt it would be too presumptuous. In the end, you just took a handful of melon seeds from your space and started cracking them. "You guys fight, no, finish fighting first, In the air, Yin Jishue's group exchanged blows freely, source power bursting forth wildly, various lights flashing brilliantly. The intense fluctuations stirred up huge waves on the once calm sea surface. But soon, Yin Jishue's 4 began to strongly suppress the temporary group of over a dozen opponents. By the time you had not finished cracking your melon seeds, the winner and loser had already been decided. "Leader Yin, we surrender. Stop fighting." Those dozen ordinary ultimate grandmasters were beaten until their heads were bleeding and faces disfigured, quickly begging for mercy. Yin Jishue retracted her flexible 9-section whip, smiling faintly. "Please, retreat. Run quickly." The dozen stubborn men, injured and panicked, fled in all directions. You threw away the uneaten melon seeds and laughed heartily. As expected of Leader Yin, "Ha ha ha." Yin Jishue turned around and looked at you, smiling. "Palace Leader Shangwan, are you still going to compete with us?" You smacked your lips. "Maybe I will, maybe I won't." "What do you mean?" Yin Jishue was puzzled. Actually, what you were thinking was if there appeared Earth sources with dry metal affinity this time, you would definitely claim them. If the Earth sources were of other affinities, you could let Yin Jishue have them. After all, the old matriarch saved half your life during the last simulation. Besides, you and Yin Jishue had fought together in the boss battle against Lian Long, so you were comrades who had endured gunfire together. Before you could say more, a sudden strong wind rose on Sea Snake Island beneath your feet. The atmosphere of heaven and earth was abruptly stirred. You and Yin Jishue exchanged a glance. Knowing this was the sign of an earth source manifesting. Sure enough, in no time, a faint mist slowly appeared on Sea Snake Island, wavering as it solidified and expanded. You laughed arrogantly, and vast source power suddenly swept out, but most of it was used to block Yin Jishue and her group. The four were caught off guard, feeling the surrounding air grow thick and viscous, making their source power release sluggish. Yin Jishue's pupils twitched, her face full of disbelief. The other three were equally shocked, because they realized that you had purely used your immense source power to restrain them. It was like everyone was spraying each other with little water guns, but you had brought down a swimming pool of water from the sky, drowning everyone inside. This meant your source power was many times greater than that of Yin Jishue's four, definitely exceeding the gap between top Ultimate Grandmasters and absolute peak Ultimate Grandmasters. Ignoring their shock, your eyes focused only on the Earth source. While restraining Yin Jishue's group, you had already released another gentle source power toward the Earth source on Sea Snake Island. Your released source power rapidly approached Sea Snake Island. When it was about 50 meters away, a soft sound was heard. Your source power seemed to collide with some barrier and suddenly dissipated. You frowned. Then two even stronger source powers shot out, only to be instantly dissipated as well. You looked baffled. What the hell? Did I hit a ghost? You simply released the restraints on Yin Jishue and the others, then drew your soul awakening blade in reverse grip. Yin Jishue and her companions understood you meant them no harm, so they refrained from any rash movements. Moreover, they had witnessed how your source power was blocked and were equally curious. The starlight swirled around the soul awakening blade in your hand as you delivered a fierce slash towards Sea Snake Island. The massive blade light carved a brilliant trajectory through the air, heading straight for Sea Snake Island. Boom! The blade light shattered violently against the transparent barrier, countless sparkling points of light dissipating into the air. The seawater around Sea Snake Island was thrown into massive waves over 10 meters high, yet the hemispherical transparent barrier remained completely unmoved. That Earth source swayed gracefully within the transparent barrier, as if emitting cheerful, mocking laughter. Your single slash made Yin Jishue's heart tremble, her beautiful eyes filled with utter astonishment. She knew she would have to exert her full strength to block such an attack from you, yet she could see you hadn't expended much effort at all. Yin Jishue's rosy lips parted slightly as she unconsciously turned her gaze toward you. You turned to look at Yin Jishue and asked, "Leader Yin, do you know what's going on here?" Although you were the world's #1 at 21 years old, you might not know as much as an established ultimate grandmaster like Yin Jishue. After all, Yin Jishue had eaten more salt than you had walked roads. Yin Jishue recovered from her shock, her eyes slowly sweeping over you before turning towards Sea Snake Island. Yin Jishue also sent several powerful surges of source force toward the island, but the transparent barrier only vibrated slightly before returning to calm. Yin Jishue also looked puzzled. "I don't know what this is either." You nodded, your expression turning solemn. "I understand now, Leader Yin." All of you moved further away. The aura around you suddenly began to intensify, instantly surpassing that of a peak ultimate grandmaster. The relaxed smile vanished from Yin Jishue's face as she frowned and asked, "Palace Leader Shangwan, what do you mean by this?" You didn't answer, instead raising the soul awakening blade high with both hands. You were no longer holding back, preparing to unleash your life and death slash. As the only martial artist who had fused with two earth sources, using your most powerful blade technique, this strike represented the strongest known attack in the current world. With Graven, if the transparent barrier could withstand even this, then things would get truly interesting. There would definitely be some explanation needed. Your robes began flapping violently, your black hair flowing without any wind. The calm sea surface suddenly stirred with turbulence, colossal waves crashing against the water one after another with thunderous roars. All your source power converged onto the soul awakening blade, causing it to vibrate wildly while emitting blinding light. You roared fiercely. "This strike will be enormous." Boom! The sky-obscuring phantom of the soul awakening blade pressed down violently toward the transparent light barrier, over Sea Snake Island. An earth-shaking roar pierced through the eardrums of everyone present. Yin Jishue and her three companions were blasted back dozens of meters by the shockwave. After a moment, the wind and waves gradually subsided. Seawater began raining from the sky, mixed with various seafood like seaweed and other marine life. Yin Jishue also looked puzzled. I don't know what this is either. That transparent light barrier actually remained completely unmoved. As your words faded, your body went limp and you began falling straight toward the sea below. The source power within your body was completely depleted. Truly not a single drop remained. At that moment, a gentle surge of source power extended out, catching you steadily. You turned to look. As expected of your reliable guardian, she had protected you once again. Thanks, Leader Yin. Yin Jishue recovered from her shock, looking at you with increasingly brilliant eyes. You immediately pulled out elixirs and stuffed your mouth full, crunching and chewing wildly before swallowing them down. Your source power rapidly recovered, immediately restoring your flight capability. Simultaneously, Yin Jishue and her three companions floated over with solemn expressions. They no longer dared to harbor any thoughts of challenging you. Yin Jishue and her group now understood where your confidence and boldness came from. You were genuinely ruthless. The power of your life and death completely exceeded their understanding. When that strike collided with the transparent light screen, they felt like they were seeing a second sun. But the absurd thing was that the light screen still hadn't broken. A relaxed expression reappeared on Yin Jishue's softly contoured cheeks as she examined you for a long time. Palace Leader Shangwan, are you truly just a peak ultimate grandmaster? More or less, you answer casually, currently more concerned about what the light screen over Sea Snake Island actually was. You stroked your chin, silently pondering. Your previous attack represented the strongest strike in this current world, yet still couldn't break through the light screen. The form of this light screen clearly wasn't naturally formed. Your eyes flickered with insight as you reached a bold conclusion, that there still existed power in this world that surpassed the second stage ultimate grandmaster. The light barrier before you served as proof, and this wasn't even a direct manifestation of their power. Merely a defensive barrier they created could withstand the power of a second-stage extreme path warrior like yourself. One could only imagine how immeasurable the power they themselves possessed must be. But you didn't understand why you had never encountered them before. Were they deliberately hiding? Yet the ultimate grandmasters in this world already acted like kings and tyrants, dominating the world without restraint. So why would these stronger individuals need to hide? What were they hiding from? What were they afraid of? If they truly wanted to conceal themselves, why would they create a light barrier and leave it here? Wouldn't this actually make them more likely to be exposed? If these people weren't hiding, had they perhaps disappeared? Died? But in that case, there should at least be traces of their existence in the world, along with relevant records and legends. Yet now there was nothing. What lay beneath this light barrier? Was some heaven-defying treasure hidden there? Was it an entrance to another world? Could breaking through the light barrier lead to another world? Was this the only light barrier in this world? Why did the Earth's source happen to appear within the light barrier? Was it coincidence? Why? The more you thought, the more questions arose, the information in your mind becoming increasingly chaotic. After a long while, you somewhat organized the complex information. You felt that regardless of circumstances, as long as you could break through the light barrier, you could at least learn some things, which meant you absolutely had to fuse more Earth sources, 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7 or 8. Perhaps you might even need to fuse 10 Earth sources to reach a higher level. But as long as you fused enough yourself, you would eventually break through the light barrier and get answers. You also weren't particularly worried about the existence of people with higher power levels still in this world, because from previous simulations, even if they truly still existed, they hadn't emerged to interfere with this world. Even if they did appear, the worst you could do was die, and you could return the next second. Death posed no threat to you. You knew overthinking was useless. Your main mission remained collecting Earth sources. Strengthening your power was never wrong. You turned to Yin Jishue and said, Leader Yin, I'm withdrawing. Do as you please. You weren't the least bit worried about the light barrier being broken by Yanji Shue and the others. During your attack on the light barrier, you discovered that every point of the barrier had the same defensive strength, meaning they would need a single individual's power to reach the threshold required to break the light barrier's defense. Coordinated attacks would be useless. Yin Jishue lifted her beautiful eyes. Palace leader Shangwan, are you not concerned about this earth source? You laughed heartily. Leader Yin, I gift it to you. After speaking, you immediately flew away, heading toward the capital direction. You plan to find Lian Long and catch up. Continuous rumbling sounds immediately came from behind you. You knew Yin Jishue and her 4 companions were diligently attacking the light barrier. You chuckled lightly, unconcerned. You transformed into a stream of light, plummeting straight toward the capital direction. You flew nonstop toward the capital. 2 months later, you once again set foot in the capital's territory. The capital's architectural layout remained unchanged from the last simulation, still consisting of the outer city, inner city, and imperial city, 3 layers of city walls nested within each other. Another thing that hadn't changed was the prohibition against flying within the imperial city boundaries. But this rule clearly didn't apply to you, as you could take flight anywhere at any time. At this moment, within the palace city, the weather was clear and bright, with skies as blue as if freshly washed. Everything appeared harmonious and stable. Suddenly, you materialized abruptly above the palace city. You stood with hands behind your back, robes fluttering in the wind. You calmly looked down at the palace city beneath your feet, your immense aura suddenly spreading out like a massive dark cloud enveloping the entire palace complex. 3 ultimate grandmasters from the Li Imperial clan immediately rose from the palace grounds. All 3 looked grave, with one dark-faced man showing clear anger. Which sect does your excellency belong to? Don't you know flying is forbidden within the imperial city boundaries? You spoke calmly. Which hall is Lian Long in? The dark-faced man didn't answer at all, his tone full of threat. Your excellency must leave immediately. Otherwise, you'll never leave. You glanced sideways at him. Simultaneously, a blinding white light abruptly expanded in his vision. You! The dark-faced man's face filled with terror as source power surged out wildly, desperately throwing a punch to meet the attack. Crack! The sound of shattered bone and flesh echoed as the dark-faced man's right arm was split in half, hanging limply from his shoulder. The dark-faced man screamed in both shock and terror. The other 2 ultimate grandmasters, startled by your sudden attack, quickly protected the dark-faced man as they retreated dozens of meters, all 3 looking at you with horror. The dark-faced man frantically took out pills and swallowed them, temporarily stopping the bleeding from his shattered arm. You asked again, which hall is Lian Long in? Clutching his right arm, the dark-faced man said with venomous expression, I'd rather die than tell you. Zheng. The person to the dark-faced man's right was directly cleaved in half, falling to the ground and staining the palace city with blood. The dark-faced man's face twitched, but he forcibly overcame his fear. I'd rather die than tell you. Bang! The person to his left exploded right before his eyes. Where is Lian Long? Your tone turned icy. The dark-faced man laughed coldly and fiercely. I'd rather die than tell you. You nodded, moving your hand as if to finish him with one strike. But the dark-faced man suddenly spoke up, his expression determined. But if I'm not dead, I can tell you. You glanced at the dark-faced man, surprised that this guy would risk his life just to make a joke. The originally resolute expression on the dark-faced man's face transformed into a sincere smile. Hee, let me show you the way. Your Excellency, right this way. The dark-faced man led you above the Fengtian Hall, the tall palace majestic and magnificent. Great hero, Lian Long is inside. You can go in now. You turned to look at him and smiled. I should go in? Yes. Your soul-awakening blade suddenly swung down toward the dark-faced man. Unable to dodge in time, he immediately met his end. You turned back to look at Fontian Hall and directly swung a blade strike that blotted out the sky toward it. Boom! The palace shattered, bricks and tiles flying everywhere, raising endless clouds of dust. Audacious! How dare you offend the imperial presence? From the collapsed Fontian Hall, over 20 ultimate grandmasters flew out, their hearts filled with fury as they charged at you with full force. You knew these 20-plus ultimate grandmasters were all currently in the imperial city, with others distributed throughout other parts of Great Qian. You laughed coldly, your soul-awakening blade glowing brilliantly as you calmly responded, killing 3 ultimate grandmasters in the blink of an eye. Despite over 20 people besieging you, they couldn't gain any advantage, and the remaining ultimate grandmasters grew more apprehensive the longer they fought. At that moment, a deep and authoritative voice resounded through the skies. The 20-plus ultimate grandmasters, who had long wanted to retreat, quickly withdrew. Leon Long, dressed in imperial yellow robes, slowly rose into the sky and spoke gradually. Your Excellency, exactly what? You think you can retreat just because you wanna? Did I agree? Die. Ignoring Leon Long completely, you charged toward the retreating ultimate grandmasters. You chased after the 20-plus people, cutting them down wildly. Leon Long was stunned. This was the first time since becoming emperor that someone had ignored his words. He thought you had guts. You chased the 20-plus people for several blocks, with blade light flashing fiercely and screams echoing continuously as ultimate grandmasters kept falling. Leon Long could no longer maintain his composed demeanor. Source power suddenly surged out around him. Woo-hoo! A dragon's roar echoed through the clouds. A massive 5-clawed golden dragon rushed out from within him, attacking you with overwhelming might. But what greeted the 5-clawed golden dragon was an even more immense blade. The 5-clawed golden dragon instantly seemed as insignificant as a small loach by comparison. Boom! A sky-shaking explosion echoed. The aftershocks of the collision made the entire palace city shake twice. Finally, the smoke in the air gradually dispersed. The remaining ultimate grandmasters urgently looked toward Leon Long, and what they saw shook them to their core. They saw Leon Long held casually in your hand like a dead dog, barely breathing. Your Majesty! The ultimate grandmasters cried out in terror. Some of the most shocked and angry ultimate grandmasters shouted, "Who exactly are you? You alone fought over 20 ultimate grandmasters as easily as cutting melons and vegetables. Even Leon Long, a supreme ultimate grandmaster, couldn't withstand a single move from you. Having lived so many years, they never knew such a monstrous genius existed. They were both anxious and fearful, but didn't dare approach. You glanced at these dozen or so ultimate grandmasters and directly descended toward the ground below. These dozen people looked at each other, only able to follow from a distance. You landed on the square before the collapsed Fontian Hall and casually threw Leon Long to the ground. You had sealed the source power within Leon Long, crushed his internal organs, and twisted his knees and elbows backward to ensure he couldn't escape. The dozen or so ultimate grandmasters also landed on the ground, watching you from afar, unsure what this ruthless person intended to do. As the fighting subsided, the capital garrison troops finally arrived belatedly, pretentiously surrounding you. Only then did the imperial concubines, noble ladies, palace maids, and eunuchs dare to peek out cautiously to see what was happening. But everyone who looked saw Leon Long's miserable state, and they all gasped in shock. They could hardly believe it was their exalted emperor lying there. Some fell to their knees in terror, muttering that the sky was falling. Some wept helplessly, not knowing what to do. The square suddenly became lively. Leon Long, his dignity gone, asked weakly, "You, who exactly are you? Could you be from Genia Nation?" You smiled slightly. "You shouldn't have cut me in half." I cut you in half." The confusion in Leon Long's eyes was genuine. You smiled again. "You also shouldn't have eaten people." "I ate people too." Leon Long almost lost his composure. But after thinking for a moment, Leon Long understood. This was a case of give a dog a bad name and hang him. Lian Long had often used this tactic himself, never expecting it would be applied to him. Lying on the ground, Lian Long forcefully swallowed a mouthful of blood and asked, "Are you going to kill me?" Your smile was bright. "I don't know." Lian Long hesitated for a moment, his breathing faint as he asked, "You don't know?" Lian Long had already begun suspecting you might have mental issues. He guessed you had been hiding somewhere in secluded cultivation. While you achieved great mastery in divine arts, your brain got fried in the process. You replied, "Well, saying I don't know would be inaccurate, because actually I do know." Lian Long frowned at you, his eyelids drooping low. "What exactly are you trying to do?" You smiled and looked up, shouting toward a particular direction in the crowd. "You too, come here." The gazes of the noisy crowd instantly converged on the direction you were looking. In that direction stood only two people. One was Crown Prince Li Chunyin, the other was Imperial Grandson Li Jiang. In the previous simulation, Li Chunyin hadn't outlasted Lian Long, achieving the accomplishment of Sun Morning Father courtesy of Lian Long. Only later did that grandson, Li Jiang, become Crown Prince. In this current simulation, Crown Prince Li Chunyin hadn't died yet, and he was actually quite young this year, having just turned 68. These two father and son who held lifetime honorary crown prince titles now wore expressions of utter terror. But ultimately they gritted their teeth and slowly walked over. After all, even Lian Long working together with all the ultimate grandmasters wasn't your match. If they really angered you, killing these two would be effortless. And the other ultimate grandmasters didn't dare interfere anyway, since Lian Long was still in your grasp. Lian Long suddenly understood. "You were hired by my imperial son?" You quickly waved your hands, explaining, "Don't misunderstand, they couldn't afford to hire me." "Then what exactly do you mean?" Lian Long asked. You didn't answer, instead looking at Li Chunyin and Li Jiang, who had now approached. The two swallowed hard, their eyes filled with deep wariness toward you. Only when they saw you weren't making any moves did they finally look at Lian Long on the ground. The two dropped to their knees with a thud, embracing Lian Long and bursting into loud sobs. "Both of you shut up." Lian Long's voice was weak, but his authority remained intact. The two immediately stopped their performance. You looked at them, a mischievous smile appearing on your face as you decided to conduct a little experiment on human nature. You said to them, "Since you're so filial, the choice is yours. If you want your dear father emperor, your dear imperial grandfather to die, I'll kill him. If you want him to live, I'll spare him." "What?" Li Chunyin stared blankly. Li Jiang also looked confused. But mere moments later, both immediately grasped the implication, their eyelids twitching violently, expressions shifting uncertainly. Various emotions played across their faces. 3 parts fear, 3 parts excitement, 3 parts worry, and 91 parts ecstatic joy. If Lian Long died, then Li Chunyin would directly become emperor. He would never again have to sigh while gazing at that impossibly distant throne, unable to outlive the 200-year lifespan of Lian Long. Lian Long also caught on, his eyes widening suddenly as he looked at you in astonishment. Lian Long immediately became emotionally agitated, mustering strength from within his body to shout, You rebellious commoner! How dare you?" Li Chunyin and Li Jiang unconsciously looked at Lian Long, brilliant light shining in their eyes. How many times had Li Chunyin dreamed of this, fantasizing that someday, somehow, a master expert would suddenly appear, inexplicably kill Lian Long, ask for nothing in return, and mysteriously vanish into the ether. How wonderful that would be! The desire and fervor in Li Chunyin and Li Jiang's eyes made even Lian Long's heart tremble. Lian Long knew that once you release the chains holding fierce dogs, they will bite. But Lian Long never expected these two fierce dogs were actually vicious wolves, just waiting for the opportunity to tear him to pieces. Lian Long gathered his remaining strength, his face contorted fiercely as he roared at Li Chunyin and the other. "How dare you?" Having long lived under Lian Long's powerful intimidation, Li Chunyin and the other actually trembled in fear at this outburst. You kicked Lianlong several meters away, scolding, "These two little judges will make their own decision. No interference allowed." This kick took half of what little life remained in the already dying Lianlong, leaving him with only weak, struggling gasps. "Well then, two little judges, have you made your choice?" Your smile was eerie yet filled with affinity. Seeing the once invincible Li Anlong truly rendered helpless, Li Chunyin and Li Jiang freed themselves from their fear. Father and son exchanged a glance, seeing determination in each other's eyes. In this moment, they were united in purpose. Li Chunyin no longer hesitated. He looked at you and said solemnly, "Great hero, we have made our choice." "Say it, loudly. Let Li Anlong hear it. Let everyone around hear it. Let all of Great Qian hear it." Li Chunyin and Li Jiang seemed infected by your fervent emotions, fanaticism spreading through their eyes. Father and son moved in perfect synchronization, kowtowing 3 times toward Li Anlong with loud thumps. Then they shouted together, "Please, Father Emperor, Imperial Grandfather, proceed to death." Too quiet. "Please, Father Emperor, Imperial Grandfather, proceed to death." Still too quiet. "Please, Father Emperor, Imperial Grandfather, proceed to death." "Fuck your mother. Use your loudest fucking voice." "Please, Father Emperor, Imperial Grandfather, proceed to death." Their voices grew hoarse as they screamed at the top of their lungs, as if releasing years of pent-up emotions. Lianlong's face turned ashen, his teeth clenched as he shook his head neurotically. You laughed wildly, recklessly, earth-shatteringly. "Ha ha ha! Thump! Thump!" You instantly kicked Li Chunyin and Li Jiang several meters away. "Good. Good beasts. What excellent little beasts you are." The two lay on the ground, looking at you in terror. You smiled faintly. "Come here." They could only endure the intense pain and struggle to their feet, walking toward you. You stepped slowly toward Lianlong. You crouched down before Lianlong and said softly, "How does it feel?" Lianlong naturally didn't answer, just glared at you venomously. You didn't care, continuing on your own. "Not feeling too good, are you?" You looked back at Li Chunyin, "Since you decided he should die, then you'll kill him with your own hands." "What?" Li Chunyin was utterly horrified. Choosing for Li Anlong to die was one thing. He could handle some psychological burden, but doing it himself changed everything completely. This would make him bear the stigma of regicide and patricide his entire life, his claim to the throne forever illegitimate. Your expression turned cold. "Should I repeat myself?" Li Chunyin trembled throughout his body, realizing whether he bore this stigma wasn't his decision to make anymore. Finally, Li Chunyin gritted his teeth and pulled out an exquisite small dagger from his sleeve. Whether from excitement or fear, his hand trembled uncontrollably. You snatched the small dagger from his hand. Your dear father is still an ultimate grandmaster, however weakened. Are you trying to pick his teeth with this little thing? After speaking, you tossed the small dagger into your own mouth and chewed it like a piece of gum. You infuse your formidable source power into the soul awakening blade, making it capable of cutting through even an ultimate grandmaster's body. You handed the soul awakening blade to Li Chunyin. "Use mine. It's longer than yours." Li Chunyin numbly took the blade and stepped slowly toward Lianlong. On the ground, Lianlong's eyes bulged with rage, his ferocious expression looking ready to devour someone. "You unfilial son! How dare you?" Li Chunyin reached Li Anlong, swallowing hard several times as he raised the soul awakening blade high. "Father Emperor, please forgive your unfilial son."
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.